a mere 55-4 at Ohio State. Wisconsin won the toss, deferred. So P.J. Rosowski will kick it away, and number 21 for Ohio State, Paris Campbell, had a 91-yard return, which was a key play against Indiana. Will not get a chance as it's booted way through the end zone. So here comes J.T. Barrett, his poised leadership, Kirk, in this tough environment.
Yeah, it really the straw that mixes the drink for Ohio State. A great leader. A couple things that he needs to do tonight. Number one, he's got to provide the leadership for a lot of youth around him in a hostile environment. Quarterback run has to be a factor, but when that quarterback run's a factor, they get man-to-man on the outside, and they need to reestablish the deep ball. Wouldn't surprise me at all after his struggles a week ago throwing the ball, where he was only 9 of 21. You just heard Urban say it. Receivers need to get separation. Do not be shocked to see them early take some shots to test his secondary.
Empty backfield for the Buckeyes' first play. And now Samuel, the versatile weapon, will motion into the backfield. And a first taste of the communication they'll have to do to combat this crowd noise. Samuel runs into heavy traffic, and the tackle is made by the linebacker T.J. Edwards. Kirk, the Chick-fil-A impact players.
You just got to look at one of them. That's Curtis Samuel. We talked about his versatility and how he can make so many plays from different spots. Also, Pat Elflein, the center, a leader and an experienced player. On the other side, T.J. Watt, and also on the corner, Sojourn Shelton.
From the pocket, Barrett tries to escape, does make a man miss. He doesn't slide, folks. He dives head first. Just about a half-yard short of the marker. It'll be third down.
Pretty good protection here. One of the things we're going to keep an eye on, young offensive line. You got a couple veterans in Billy Price and Pat Elflein. The other three still kind of feeling their way. They have played in Norman, but being able to communicate and protect the quarterback, a big key for Ohio State.
Buckeyes have been a phenomenal third down offense in the early going. And invading the backfield is Garrett Dooley. The outside linebacker makes a stop. And Wisconsin's defense makes a play, but it is a first down.
He just shoots a gap, anticipating something Wisconsin has been great at all year. 3rd and 2 or less, third in the country.
And they feed Samuel already. He's been very busy. What, with one touch in the first 25 snaps against the Hoosiers? That was a different plan tonight, clearly.
Yeah, and again, once you pick up that initial first down, you'll see the up-tempo approach from J.T. Barrett.
Barrett keeps it and looks to throw far side. And that was Noah Brown. He couldn't crank up with it. 3rd and 5 now.
Let's see, they want to get the ball out of the hands quickly on J.T. Barrett, but even trying to do that, he still is feeling those linebackers. That's Sitchie, who we talked about in the open. He and T.J. Watt will get after number 16 when he drops back to throw.
Five receiver look, and Samuel in the slot. Badgers rush 4, and Barrett is flushed and sacked. Connor Sheehy, the defensive end, there to wrap up the quarterback, and the Buckeyes will punt.
He comes from the outside on a stunt, but watch the blitz right there by T.J. Watt. Occupied 2 offensive linemen just long enough. They get by the true freshman, Michael Jordan, but it was a well-timed blitz by T.J. Watt that set it up, and Barry Alvarez fired up.
First full sack of the season for Sheehy. Cameron Johnston, the All-American punter, and Corey Clement, the running back, is back deep, but Johnston's punt booms to the end zone. So here's Alex Hornibrook. Kirk, first 3 starts of his career on the road. East Lansing gets the win. A tough one, 3 interceptions on the road in the Big House, and now Ohio State. Not a routine start to your career.
No, you can see great size, and I think those games and the experience at Michigan State and against Michigan gives him some confidence. Early down play action pass. They have struggled to run the ball. That could help him. Also, he needs to be decisive. He cannot hold the football, and I think a big thing for him. When we talked with him yesterday, I was really impressed. You didn't feel like you were talking to a freshman. Just seemed kind of mature beyond his years. He'll need that tonight to be able to be effective against Ohio State. It's going to be a long game. He needs to be patient.
Not a really excitable guy. Quiet, poised, and a very fast learner, obviously. They fake it to Clement, and the lefty Hornibrook rolls out and makes a nice throw. And that's Troy Fumagalli, his #1 weapon, the tight end up near midfield quickly.
He has the best hands on the team. He's lined up right here, just a sail route. I think this is the route that Hornibrook feels the most confident with. I love how they move him, get him on the run, get him away from potential pressure, and a throw that he's very comfortable with, throwing it to his favorite target in the big tight end for a big gain.
Now they get 28 on the first play. This is Clement. He gets the corner, hurdles a man, gets inside the Ohio State 40-yard line. The Badgers' running game uncharacteristically has really been struggling so far this year.
Yeah, Corey Clement able to get around there, and he is one of our Chick-fil-A players to keep an eye on. Also, the big tight end, Fuagami, he also already made a big play getting downfield. And for Ohio State, it's Raekwon McMillan. Needs to do a very good job of leading that front. And Malik Hooker has done a great job himself, being able to read the eyes of quarterbacks and make big plays and coming up with a number of interceptions.
From the eye, it's Clement again, and a senior from Jersey who's came in averaging under 4 yards a carry. A very frustrating start for him. If they can get the running game going tonight, you like their chances.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting that Paul Chryst and Joe Rudolph, the offensive coordinator, talked about during the bye week, he and the offensive line worked on their timing, just trying to make sure he's becoming more patient, not always looking for the home run, letting that offensive line try to establish the block, and then try to look for a crease and try to pick up as many yards as he can.
2nd and 7. That's Jazz Peavy, the receiver, in motion. He's got the corner. Peavy hit hard, knocked out of bounds by Marshawn Lattimore, but it's another first down.
Yeah, another good call here by Paul Chryst. Second time they've been able to get outside of that edge contain. Watch the two tight ends to the top. They do a nice job of setting it. Steffes along with Fumagalli. You see Ohio State relying on the corner on the other side, Lattimore, to come over and eventually push Peavy out of bounds. But Wisconsin right now on a very impressive drive to start this game.
Nobody has found the end zone against the Buckeyes defense on their opening possessions so far this season. Clement again does show some patience, picks his way on the right side and earns about 4 yards.
Keep in mind, everybody wants to point the finger at the youth on the offensive line because Wisconsin has not been able to run the football the way they're accustomed to running. And they are young up front, but it's about all of it coming together. The offensive line and the timing of the running back. You can see against LSU, Michigan State, and Michigan, you're talking 3.2, 3 yards, and 2.5 yards a carry. And just here early in this game, Corey Clement feels a little bit different in the way he's running.
He's now spelled by Dare Ogunbowale, who gets the pitch and runs right into a wall of defenders there. Draymond Jones, the defensive tackle, stopped him. It'll be 3rd down.
A little adjustment by Luke Fickell there, coming with some pressure. Nice blitz there. He brought his safety up, Damon Webb, anticipating that Wisconsin may run the football. It was a blitz, but kind of a blitz that you would expect against a run.
The wrinkle this year is that Fickell's helped out by Greg Schiano, who's co-defensive coordinator, former Rutgers head coach and Buccaneers head coach on the staff. A big part of their defensive plan. Hornibrook needs 6, is pressured, and will go down. So 1 sack for each team. That was Nick Bosa, the true freshman. Now a late flag comes in. Kind of a skirmish after the sack. Bosa already with 3 sacks in his rookie season, following in Joey's footsteps out of Fort Lauderdale. Here's Don Willard.
After the play, sideline warning, Ohio State. It's 4th down.
So Ohio State folks got excited and came on the field. Not a penalty, and the sack does make it 4th down.
Chris, Nick Bosa continues to just get better and better. On the inside here, watch him, watch the movement and the power that he has, and being able to extend his arms against the right guard, Ben Shaw, and just a guy that had an ACL about a year ago. They've been trying to ease him into the lineup, but you can see the power that he has with that pass rush.
Andrew Endicott is the new kicker for Wisconsin after the injury to Rafael Gaglianone, back surgery. Very inexperienced kicker from 46 yards, slides it through. He's a great story. He didn't kick a field goal his entire high school career until an all-star game. Kickoff specialist. So he's 2 for 2 in his life. Not bad, 46 yards to give the Badgers a 3-0 lead. Productive opening drive for Wisconsin. Now the second possession for Barrett and the Buckeyes coming up. Rosowski has a very strong leg, and I think he may deny the Ohio State returners all night. All the lost production from this Ohio State offense, 14 players off last year's team playing in the NFL, including a bunch of those guys.
Not only playing in the NFL, a lot of them are starting, and you add all this up, and not just Cardale Jones. You look at the rushing with Zeke Elliott, all the receivers, nearly 80% on both the receiving and the rushing. And I think what Ohio State expected was that they knew that they had recruited well and that they had an abundance of talent. It was their turn to step up, and a key for Urban Meyer has been having a veteran like JT Barrett to be able to help them settle in.
JT 0 for 1 passing in the opening series. Pass offense that lit up Oklahoma, but struggled last week against Indiana. And Barrett will throw a slant, and the catch is made. Wrestled down is Noah Brown. Defended by Sojourner Shelton.
Clearly Ohio State going with more quick game approach than anything we've seen from them earlier this year. And I think it has to do with the respect they have for the pass rush that they'll be seeing tonight from Wisconsin, and just trying to get JT Barrett into a rhythm here early in the game.
Pressure right up the middle by the Badgers defense. A 1 blitz and a 4-yard gain from Mike Weber. Edwards tackled him.
Kind of a different wrinkle there, where they went with a triple option. They motioned Curtis Samuel from receiver back into a 2-back running back look, and you can see JT Barrett reading the end man on the line of scrimmage, something I'm sure they'll go back to again. And if the defensive end collapses, he's able to pull it out and not just run it, but have the threat of then pitching it as well.
And 2nd and 6, the tight end Marcus Baugh flexed out to the right. They clock at 3. Samuel cuts it back. Not much room. Alec James on the tackle. It'll be 3rd down.
I'm going to love the way these linebackers in this front 7 plays. I mean, they play with a chip on their shoulder, and they play with a bunch of confidence, and they trust one another.
Buckeyes would not substitute. The Badgers tried to, then had to run guys back on. Not quite set at the beginning of the play, but Barrett just has to throw it away. And now a flag comes down. Alec James pressured him. The flag was way away from the play in the pit there.
It could have been a lineman downfield.
There is no foul for an eligible player downfield. 4th down.
So again, the Badgers' pressure defense gets Ohio State off the field.
And Ohio State electing to go fast like that to try to catch Wisconsin off guard. I think by rolling him out, it's either there's really one receiver there or nobody. And the receiver is covered. There was pressure, and all JT Barrett could do is throw it away.
Here's Johnston, the Aussie again. And Clement, who has not been the regular punt returner for the Badgers this year, is back deep. A low kick, and Clement fields it at the 6. And cannot escape, and a flag comes down. So the Badgers are going to be backed up with poor field position after this penalty. Eric Glover Williams down for the Buckeyes to make the stop. It's going to be a block in the back.
Yeah, it looked like a push in the back on the return. But Fagaro, the corner who's out there on special teams.
So now a challenge for Hornibrook, a productive opening drive done mostly on the ground.
During the return, illegal block in the back. Receiving team, the 10. After this is the goal. 1st down. Timeout.
So the ball will be at the 5-yard line. The Badgers will take over. Clement, already a pretty productive start to this game for the running back who came in frustrated. Tonight, there was a chance of a thunderstorm that could arrive 2nd, 3rd quarter tonight and certainly be heavy enough to impact this game. Badgers have to be very careful now. Second possession backed up at the 5-yard line after the penalty on the return.
See how Paul Chris, the head coach and play caller, decides to try to attack here. As you said, Chris backed up deep into his own territory.
All kinds of moving and shifting pre-snap. They see that all night. This is Clement running left. Corey Clement has the corner, breaks a tackle, and gallops down the sideline. Clement in the clear. The senior has waited all season for a run like that. By far, Wisconsin's biggest play, but he lost the ball at the end. He lost the ball, and Damon Webb running with it for Ohio State on the far sideline. Was he stripped before he went out?
It's obviously they're going to take a close look at this to see if his shoulder was down or if he stepped out of bounds before the ball is out.
Chris Worley chased him down and makes the strip as Clement tries to hold on. But
that ball is out. And then it's a matter of
I think it hit out of
sideline.
bounds.
Yeah,
I think the ball did come out before he went out of bounds, but it looked like it hit on the sideline.
The ruling on the previous play is a fumble recovered by the defense. First down, Ohio State.
They'll review
Chris,
that now.
We could talk to Dave Kataya about this, but you can, the first look, keep an eye on the football. I think the ball does come out before he goes out of bounds. It's out, and then, oh boy.
That's a tough angle because his knee did hit down first, but I think the first look showed the ball kind of coming out. Well, he was trying to hold on for dear life with two arms.
Yeah, ball's out there while he's still up. Now it's just a matter of where does it bounce.
Hits off of his knee, and it's tough to tell. Dave Kataya, how would you see that if you were Stephen Beckman in the replay booth?
Well, right now it's clearly his fumble, as you guys said. But the shot is that player's knee is blocking the ball to see if it hits the sideline or not. We need to take some more looks at this. But if they can't get a shot that shows the ball hitting the sideline, they're going to have to stand with a call on the field. That one shot doesn't show us a lot, so we'll have to see what we see.
Dave, I wonder if he touches the ball while he's out of bounds and knocks it back inbounds, does that what would the call be there?
If he touches it while he's out of bounds, he's put the ball out of bounds, and the offense keeps the ball.
So if the ball's inbounds while he touches it, keep an eye on this, Dave.
It's definitely.
He's out of bounds now himself. The ball is maybe inbounds. Does that impact anything at all? If the ball didn't go out of bounds?
Take a look at his foot right there. Take a look at his left foot. And if he hits that, if that left foot hits while he's laying out of bounds, he's put the ball out of bounds. Because touching precedes possession.
I think he clearly touched it with the
foot. It looks like it hits his left foot, Chris and Herbie.
So you would say it's going to be Ohio State ball, but take away the long return there.
Yeah, let's take a look at this one more time. All right, you can see his hand on the sideline right there and his forearm right there. You see him touch the ball? To me, that's put the ball out.
Okay.
So they retain possession then before it's recovered.
That's what I'm seeing in my opinion, yes.
Good luck.
Yeah, thank you.
There's a lot of stuff to look at in one play.
After further review, it was a fumble. However, it touched the player while he was out of bounds. Therefore, by rule, it's a forward fumble out of bounds. The ball was placed at the 27-yard line. Wisconsin's ball, 1st and 10. Please reset the game clock to 7 minutes and 14 seconds.
That's very lucky for
7-14,
Clement.
please.
Chris Worley made a tremendous play knocking it loose.
That's why it's nice to have Dave Kataya up here with he's got it all covered. Takes all the pressure off of me, Dave. We love you, babe.
About 4 things to look at in that play.
Yeah, there was.
So Clement gallops down the sidelines. Again, by far the biggest play Wisconsin's had this season.
By the way,
68 yards.
Ohio State in almost a goal line defense, expecting to run. They had 9 guys up there, so when Clement got free, nobody left there to slow him down from picking up big yards.
By far the longest play Ohio State's allowed from scrimmage so far this season.
First charged. Timeout of the half. Wisconsin. It's a full timeout.
So the Badgers up 3 in scoring position again as we take a break.
Nice job opening up. A couple missed tackles opened it up for Clement to get down the sideline and pick up big yards. That's something you don't see here. Is Conley, the corner, misses him. Hooker has a chance to make a play. He misses him. 2 missed tackles on 1 play. Very, very rare for an Ohio State defense. What are they? Under 5 missed tackles a game.
One of the best in that department the last 3 years.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Wisconsin in position. These fans are relieved and thrilled to see the running game working early. More what they expect to see at Wisconsin. Clement gets a breather with that timeout and takes the toss about 3 yards. 71 yards net rushing against Michigan. That was it. Almost that many on the 1 carry by Clement.
And I think Clement's taken the challenge from his coaches and along with the offensive line about how they have to run the football. And see a couple big runs for Clement has opened this up and already close to 100 yards on the night. Ohio State, I think, one of the adjustments is being able to set the edge. Wisconsin getting to the outside of the Ohio State defense.
You fake it to Clement. Hornibrook looping it over the head and trying to come back and make the play was the fullback, Alec Ingold. Not quite able to track down that.
This is an example, though, Chris, when you run, now you go play action. Watch him slide out. You're expecting, okay, they're running the ball. Let's stop the run. See how quickly he almost got out there. It was a good adjustment and good recognition by Chris Worley, who actually recognized it late. But when you start running the football, if you're a Wisconsin player and quarterback, it affects the Ohio State linebackers and safeties because they start forgetting about their assignments and opens up play action.
Hornibrook very accurate, but that little sandwich could have been thrown better on 3rd and 7 from the pocket. Delivers a strike, touchdown, Peavy! And that is the poise and the accuracy that this freshman quarterback has shown in his first 3 starts. Wisconsin goes 95 yards in 4 plays and a minute 8. A quick strike for an offense that's been desperately searching for one all season. And here is the inexperienced Andrew Endicott. The 5th PAT of his college career. And the Badgers up by double digits.
You know, Bart Houston, the other quarterback's known for his arm strength, but this is a great throw by Hornibrook. Safety drops to the middle, corner drops back here, and here is Peavy, who's just going to work right in between them for the throw. Watch how he gets between the crease of the safety and the corner. When you make that throw, it's got to be on a line with great arm strength. He gets it over top of the nickel and right between Webb and Conley. That is a heck of a throw, and I'll tell you, he's a rhythmic passer. Even felt pressure there, and he still was able to deliver the ball with accuracy. That's what he's known for. We didn't see it when he went to Ann Arbor. We have seen it so far tonight.
Yeah, the Wolverines were able to pressure him. He made 3 interceptions, but has been a quick study, and in 2 weeks to kind of work on things. This entire offense looks like a new unit, actually.
And you could see the pressure actually got to him on as he was releasing the ball from Tyquan Lewis, but he kept his eyes downfield and was able to throw in rhythm.
So the huge run by Clement sets up the touchdown pass, and suddenly Ohio State, which hadn't trailed all year, in a 10-point hole. Kickoff your Week 6 NFL Sunday with ESPN, 10 o'clock. NFL Insiders, as the injury news, all the stuff you need for your fantasy team. 11 o'clock Sunday NFL Countdown takes you right up to kickoff. Both also on the Watch ESPN app.
Keep in mind, Ohio State is coming off a week where they could not find their passing game. J.T. Barrett had a rough outing. They relied more on running the football, and now they're on the road, and they've yet in this first quarter to get J.T. Barrett going and his wide receivers. It's not just J.T. Barrett, it's the receivers trying to get separation and also how Ohio State attacks. It wouldn't surprise me to see them try to throw a little bit more here.
Here's the handoff to Samuel, who sprints around the end and gets a first down. They went 2 full quarters against the Hoosiers, mid-first to mid-third, without a passing yard last week. Incredible.
Yeah, and I think in talking to Urban Meyer, he felt that the way the game was going, the field position, they just relied on running the football. And a lot of that was J.T. Barrett on the ground.
And now Barrett slides away from pressure, delivers a short pass, and the catch is made over there by K.J. Hill. And it's another first down.
I think one of the things you do as a play caller and as a head coach, you trust your guy. And the guy he trusts is J.T. Barrett. Put the ball in his hands, even with the slow start.
K.J. Hill getting his first chance to get involved and make a play. And Barrett, straight run up the middle, loses the ball. And the Badgers do not come up with this. Barrett is able to track that down. Lucky.
Yeah, he actually gave a tremendous effort. That ball was knocked free. I think Sitchie actually got his hands on it. 48, knocked that ball loose. And now he's on his hands and knees trying to get to the football before T.J. Edwards got to it. Look at Sitchie again. They call him a gym rat, just a baller. That time he knocked that ball loose.
Barrett was able to pick up 8 yards, crawling to retain possession. Weber tries to bounce it, works hard just to get 3 yards and another first down.
This defense is probably as consistent as any defense in the country. Watch the outside linebacker work here. Tries to get off the block. He does. He gets right around Dontre Wilson. It's a heck of an effort by Zach Bond. But also the corners are involved. They're also involved in run support and setting the edge. They want to almost set a wall, like a picket fence, and not let Ohio State get around them when they try to run the football. They've done pretty well on that so far.
That's Wilson motioning in. Barrett fakes it to him. Took a look downfield, but flips it over the head of the receiver. It was Paris Campbell who couldn't come up with it.
A little misdirection there from the Buckeyes, facing an offense or a defense rather, that is really flying to the football. He used Dontre Wilson that time with kind of a jet sweep motion, tried to get the defense out of position. But they did a nice job of covering the Buckeye receivers downfield, and Barrett missing a Paris Campbell.
Passing game execution still not clicking for Ohio State. JT 2 of 5 for 21 yards. And again, Barrett sees a crease, takes off, and close to the first down at the 32 before Sitchie got him. See where they spot this. Right on the yellow line, and they'll move the sticks.
Wisconsin has to defend Ohio State as if J.T. Barrett is a running back. He's a quarterback, but as we saw last week, he carried the football 26 times, and their defensive coordinator, Justin Wilcox, saying that, we have to respect him, and it affects how we call the game, because we got to make sure we have the right amount of guys in the box.
Again, they fake it, and Barrett takes off. It's a straight run, and he just barrels down near the 10-yard line. Dakota Dixon stopped him.
Yeah, good block here by the freshman coming around. It's Michael Jordan. Watch him be able to make that block right there. Also, lead block there by Mike Weber. And there's J.T. Barrett. He is not necessarily the fastest at running Urban Meyer's offense, but he understands the scheme. He understands where the holes are, and he's very powerful. He'll run through tackles.
This Michael Jordan is 6'7", and not like the original. He's a true freshman out of Michigan. First down at the 11. Barrett gives it to Weber, who barrels straight ahead. So you focus on the quarterback, and now the running back with a quick burst down inside the 5.
Again, that same look they went to earlier. It's a little bit of a different look, going to that triple option.
The guy's playing with tempo here. On 2nd and 3, Barrett looks to throw in the flat. It's incomplete. Marcus Baugh, the tight end, was very well covered there. Derek Tyndall, the corner.
Yeah, even if Ball made the catch there, he probably would have been held short of getting into the end zone.
So they can make a first down at the 1. It's 3rd and 3 from the 4. Barrett hesitated and is dropped. Was he looking to make a little head jump pass there? There was certainly no room to run.
I don't see anybody that he was trying to throw the football to. I think it was a play that was just disrupted. How about T.J. Watt, how fast he comes off the edge. Watch him right here, sensing and anticipating the potential of quarterback run. The guard that pulled around, Jordan didn't even have a chance because of the anticipation. It's one thing to be an athlete. It's another thing to be smart and athletic, and that's what Watt has.
That runs in the Watt family, doesn't it?
Yeah.
This is Tyler Durbin, a very, very reliable short yardage kicker who knocks it through. Ohio State, a 67-yard drive in 11 plays, but certainly disappointed to have it stall down inside the 5-yard line. It's an offense that had scored 21 touchdowns in their 29 red zone appearances. So the Buckeyes don't answer with 7, but they got some things going, and it looks like similar game plan. It's going to be a lot of number 16 running the ball, at least so far.
Yeah, and I think until they're able to find a rhythm in their passing game. Watching here early, the Ohio State receivers, one way to slow down an aggressive defense is to try to get behind them. But give Wisconsin credit. They are holding up outstanding in man-to-man pressure right now, and it makes it a lot tougher when you're trying to be able to throw the football when you can't get downfield. So you're loading up on J.T. Barrett and on that running game.
The Badgers well aware of what Urban Meyer pointed out. The offense is predicated on successful deep shots, right? I mean, they stretch you horizontally, but Barrett getting the ball downfield, those receivers getting separation against man. If they don't do that, it's tough.
It's a horizontal attack, vertical attack, and a power run game, but it starts with their ability to throw the ball downfield when they're really humming.
Durbin's kick sails to the end zone. To Samantha Ponder.
Yeah, Chris, when this Ohio State defense came off the field, they were seemingly in a state of shock, a position that they're not used to being in, hanging their heads, really quiet on the sideline. Their defensive coordinator, Luke Fickell, really got after him, saying, you've got to keep your head in this game. The message was settle down, and I know this is going to come as a shock, but we have got to tackle, just getting back to fundamentals. But, guys, this is kind of foreign territory for them on the road to be struggling early like this.
It sure is, and it's definitely weird when they start missing tackles. That has been their calling card as a defense. But this is an inexperienced group. As well as they played, a lot of guys are in unfamiliar territory. Big conference game on the road for the first time. Clement spins through the middle, and another productive first down run before Lattimore, the corner, stopped him.
And another rare missed tackle, that time by the middle linebacker, Raekwon McMillan. Corey Clement looks like a different back tonight. It reminds me of how he looked 2 years ago when he was a sophomore backing up Melvin Gordon. He was very, very effective back last year, battled through injuries, and this year slow to start.
Had a good talk with Ron Dayne, the Heisman Trophy winner, yesterday. He just echoed what Paul Chryst had said and what Clement himself had said. He was just off his game mentally, not trusting the offensive line, not running with patience. Not much room that time. It'll set up third and short. But when the guys up front, who are very, very young, are not opening typical Wisconsin holes, it can get in a running back's head, right?
Absolutely, absolutely, and it really puts all of your production on a redshirt freshman quarterback and an offense that isn't necessarily equipped to pass in obvious situations. When they do well is when they throw early on 1st and 10, a little play action, and then get back to being able to run the football. This is a big third down here early in this game.
They need 3. Hornibrook looked in the direction of Ogunbowale, who's their third down back, but he was well covered by Raekwon McMillan. Bosa pressured him, and it's 4th down.
I'll tell you, this is big news to watch Nick Bosa, the true freshman. It seems like in the last couple weeks just unleashed him. On 3rd down, they bring him in as part of their nickel package, and right now he is having his way with Bo Benshaw, that right guard. He's a sophomore. And Bosa's known as a young true freshman for his power, but you can start to see that his knee is getting healthier and healthier, and he also has great suddenness to him as well.
Osowski to punt. It's a high one, not very long, and the fair catch is made there by Dontre Wilson. What's cool about Bosa, he comes in with the big name and all the hype, but they say how humble he is, what a good listener he is. There's a lot of veterans at that position who can teach him things, and he's been eager to learn.
It was incredible to hear Jalen Holmes talk about that, how he comes in, he's determined to learn and listen to the older players. Of course, his brother such a great career at Ohio State, did so many amazing things individually and part of so many great teams, and now playing on Sundays for the Chargers. Good to see him back and playing. And
he made a couple sacks in his NFL debut against the Raiders and played well against the Broncos.
The beat goes on.
Yeah.
But a lot of these coaches who have been around say that to look at Nick Bosa as a true freshman, he probably comes in maybe even more powerful than when Joey came in as a true freshman. I know.
Are you kidding me? So Barrett now back to work. Option look. Samuel is hit for a loss. Again, Sitchy, who morphed the haircut from kind of a mullet to a mohawk. He made the move this week, or clean shave for this big game on the side.
He sure did.
There's a flag. He's an engaging guy, the former walk-on, that very instinctive, scrappy guy. Think about a guy that gets the most out of his ability. Studies a lot, obviously. Jim Rat, like you said, so many of these guys.
Yeah, he told us that, you know, he's not necessarily the fastest guy, and as a former walk-on, he learned to really appreciate the work ethic.
After the play, sideline interference, offense, 15-yard penalty. The down counts. Second down.
They got a warning the first time.
Yeah, watching that, I think the referee who was blowing his whistle hit Urban Meyer in the face on the sideline there.
You get a warning, and the second time costs you 15, and that is a costly penalty. It moves him back to the 15-yard line. Final minute of the first quarter, and they're backed up now near the Badgers student section, loudest part of the stadium. 2nd and 27. High snap. Samuel again has to sidestep a defender in the backfield. That was Dooley with early penetration.
Go back to that sideline interference. You see Urban Meyer right here. See the official starts to call the play as dead and hits Urban Meyer.
The windmill upside the head there.
Yeah. Cost Ohio State big yards, pushes them back.
I was wondering who the coach was going to yell at, but you can't yell at anybody when you're the one getting your head in the way. Good spot by our crew there. 3rd and 20 now. Inside of 10 seconds in the quarter. Now, they don't have to snap it, and they won't. A flag does come out. JT says the quarter ran out before the play clock did. Let's see if he's right.
Prior to the false start, the first quarter has ended. Timeout.
So Wisconsin with 154 yards of offense for Paul Chryst against a tough defense. Back after this message and a word from your local ABC station. 10-7 for Wisconsin. 10-3. Wisconsin defense so far for Barrett and company. JT's been an effective runner, but just 2 for 6 passing. And facing a 3rd and 20 as we begin the second quarter. Option look, pitch. Samuel cuts it back and slips down across the 30, well short of the first down, and a flag is out.
It's going to be a hold
on 3rd and long.
It's going to be a hold on Ohio State receiver trying to block.
Receivers in this offense better be good blockers. You'll earn the wrath of Urban Meyer.
Absolutely.
It's such key to the success.
Yep. KJ Hill that time, number 14, trying to make a block. Just
illegal block in the back. Offense, number 14. That penalty's declined. 4th down.
We haven't seen a lot of KJ Hill this season, and that will not please the coaches. There's a block right there.
He grabbed a hold of the jersey and locked him in the back.
So Meyer had a 15-yard penalty on himself for interfering, and that penalty sends out the punter Johnston. Clement has already had a big night running the ball, again back deep, giving a lot of respect to Johnston, but this is kind of a short kick and not one of his better efforts. It'll bounce out of bounds near the 21-yard line, and that's where the Badgers will take over, trying to stretch a 7-point lead. And a great legacy, Kirk, at that school, at that position. He watched Melvin Gordon wait for his turn, and then explode. James White, same thing. He thought this was his year after waiting to explode. He wasn't healthy last year. Badgers had their worst rushing output in about 20 years. You see Melvin Gordon, it's the bye week, or the Chargers are, I guess, played Thursday, so he's here keeping an eye on Clement. And they hand it to Peavy on the end around, and Jazz Peavy's in the clear. Cuts back out near midfield. 2 productive runs for the receiver tonight.
Ohio State playing a lot of man-to-man, which means Denzel Ward needs to run with Peavy. You can see him in the background trying to run with him. It's a great way to complement the inside power running. If you don't always have the great vertical passing game, you can stretch a defense horizontally, and they've done that now a couple times with Jazz Peavy, number 11.
Yeah, he's got 40 yards on 2 carries and the 24-yard touchdown reception from Hornibrook. He's their fastest receiver, the one guy they felt could get separation, could make a big downfield play. This is Ogunbowale, and he's not really an off-tackle power back, more of a third down guy, but a productive game.
Again, a nice compliment. Played a lot of football a year ago. You know, Ohio State's been interesting. They've lost contain. They've not been able to set the edge quite a bit here tonight. And wouldn't surprise me to see their edge pressure, the defensive ends, whether it's Lewis and Hubbard, trying to get upfield and trying to prevent Wisconsin's running game getting around the corner.
Sam's report was a good one, because you can see the look in the eyes of the Ohio State defenders. Not what we're used to seeing. Ogunbowale. Short gain. It'll be 3rd down for the Buckeyes, 44. Jerome Baker, one of the backup linebackers, tackled him.
Ogunbowale, who's played a lot of football, and it's by him coming in to be able to carry the ball, not just play on 3rd down. It gives Corey Clement a rest. And in this offense, you kind of need 2, maybe even a 3rd back to be able to stay fresh for an entire 60 minutes.
Now, Taiwan Deal is out with an ankle again. He's one of their guys they would rotate in, but not available. Tight end Fumagalli is in the backfield to the left of the quarterback. Hornibrook chased and sacked for a second time, lost the ball. And able to fall back on it. Sam Hubbard, the sophomore from Cincinnati, and that's sack.
You put Hornibrook into obvious passing situations. It's an advantage for Ohio State. You have Lewis at the side at the top, but look at Sam Hubbard just use a bull rush there to go right over top of David Edwards. They have mixed a couple guys, Jacob Maxwell and now David Edwards, trying to figure it out. You can see Edwards holds on to Hubbard and still unable to slow him down. That's a big advantage for Ohio State to get Hornibrook into those third and obvious passing down.
Formation, and he boots it away. Wilson backpedaling, fields it at the 8. Escapes initially, spins around across the 20-yard line. So J.T. Barrett still looking to get the passing game going. Back to work. Buckeyes down a touchdown. Of the college football playoff earlier today. Clemson, certainly a strong playoff contender, barely surviving 4 turnovers at home to beat NC State. Hard-hitting defensive team in overtime.
Yeah, great game. And you saw Alabama and Tennessee play earlier, and Alabama just continuing to dominate. Went on the road into Knoxville and took control of that game early.
And they got number 2 on the road in a hole here, as they have been all night. Barrett keeps it from the pocket, takes his first shot downtown. Jump ball incomplete. Tyndall running right with the receiver, Terry McLaurin.
Tyndall did a good job of getting his eyes back. That was key because the ball was underthrown. J.T. Barrett waiting a little bit too long to let this ball go and ends up underthrowing it. So his receiver, by working back to it, a lot of times you see a pass interference, but Tyndall read the eyes of the receiver, McLaurin, and came back to it and turned his eyes around and made the play. No interference.
2 corners on this team were starters, both from Fort Lauderdale, Tyndall and Sojourn Shelton. Barrett again from the pocket with a lot of time. Nobody open, and now just takes a shot down the field. That's Marcus Baugh, the tight end. I mean, they're talking about it. He's spotting the ball like a catch. What an acrobatic play by the 6'5" junior.
Well, they told us this week what a great athlete he is. I think he got his left foot down, which was an acrobatic catch. Look at that, inbounds.
Tight end.
What an effort.
29-yard gain. Buckeyes playing with tempo, and Barrett delivers it short to Paris Campbell, who's knocked down by Shelton immediately after a 7-yard gain.
What an adjustment by ball to turn around. Ball's in the area, has to turn the other way, go up, make the play, and get his left foot down. This is more of what you really expected to see from Ohio State. Up-tempo, throwing the ball, being more aggressive in their play calling.
And Ball's known for that, isn't he, Kirk? He's got great jumping ability, great speed for a tight end.
It's 255 pounds going up in the air, though, and making that play.
Big time. Option look again. Samuel takes the pitch and he's in immediate trouble and swarmed under for a big loss. Zach Bond and Dakota Dixon, the safety, were there in a hurry. They snuffed out the option again, didn't they?
They sure did. It was a reaction by Dixon and how quickly he was able to come in, which was the key. Watch how quickly he reacts. They're going to pitch off of this man. But because of his approach and how quickly he came down, Dontre Wilson didn't have a chance to block Dixon because of how quickly he reacted. Probably a play he saw 100 times this week during the preparation to get ready for the Ohio State.
That does help, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It lost 10 on that play, so it's 3rd and 13. Barrett harassed, grabbed, escaped, still looking downfield, and will throw it to Samuel, who makes a catch. And Ohio State converts on 3rd and 13. Barrett just somehow staying alive.
T.J. Watt almost came up with the sack. He works around and gets around Prince, grabs on a horse collar that they didn't call. But this is where J.T. Barrett, improvising, doesn't give up on the play. And a nice job there by his main man there, his main target, Curtis Samuel, getting his feet down. They kind of connected eyes there.
You call as Watt was grabbed by the jersey. And Wisconsin will spend a timeout there, because if it's in the pocket, they won't call the horse collar. But Barrett showing the
Second
strength,
charge.
because Watt,
Timeout of the half. Wisconsin.
just like JJ is known for those strong hands, isn't he? It's hard to get out of his grip.
They say heavy hands. Those heavy hands almost brought him down. You're right. Watch Prince, who grabs on to Watt. Watt's grabbing on to
There's a lot
Barrett.
of grabbing.
Everybody's grabbing. Somehow Barrett stays up. He's still holding on to Watt.
I mean, that's hard. It's hard to miss this kind of a hold. I mean,
He's
just
locked on
pulled
to
him down,
still.
and Watt
Still got a
gets
hold
up,
of him.
and he's still grabbing his jersey. Prince holding on for dear life, but then at the other end, a terrific catch by Samuel.
It was a good job of J.T. Barrett and Curtis Samuel, eyes connecting, and then eventually he waited just until the last second to throw that football.
Dave Katai, you don't see the officials miss a holding call that obvious very often.
Yeah, that was a significant miss. I mean, he grabbed him by the jersey, grabbed him a second time, and there is no horse collar there also because he didn't go to the ground, and it's in the pocket.
So Ohio State put itself behind the sticks in that 10-yard loss, but then converts to 3rd and 13. Samuel has been a huge impact player, Kirk, as you suggested he would tonight. He has really been the game plan, hasn't he? High snap. Barrett collects it. Looks for Samuel in the end zone, just over his hands. He had beaten the safety Dakota Dixon, and once again a deep shot not quite connecting.
But it's 1st and 10, and that's an adjustment here. A little stutter and go. That's a matchup that Ohio State wants to take advantage of when you get your better receiver against the safety. Dixon's a great player, but he's off by about 8 or 10 yards. Gives Samuel a chance to build up his momentum, give him a little shake. He was wide open. They just were unable to connect.
That's been a common theme. Deep shots just close, but not quite the last few games. Barrett keeps it, plows forward, and runs about 5 more yards. It'll be 3rd down again.
It's incredible the versatility of these outside linebackers, and you think about the injuries. Vince Beagle, one of their leaders, is out. He's expected back in another week or so, but Garrett Dooley, who's wearing 5 tonight, and T.J. Watt, these guys are interchangeable. Obviously, Watt has special skill set, and he's a relentless pass rusher. But I've been impressed to see this team these first 5 or 6 weeks of the season. Every single week you see that same approach and the same consistency from both sides, not just from one side. Ohio State's got him with 3 receivers to the top.
Got to hurry, just snapped it, and now Barrett looks over to the left and delivers incomplete. He didn't spot it, Kirk. He tried to get it to KJ Hill, and it's 4th down.
Yeah, they went with trips into the boundary, and there's a little bit of confusion by Wisconsin. If Urban Meyer's frustrated by that or not, but I could see Wisconsin panicking a little bit because they only had 2 defenders in that area.
You'd think JT would spot that, but he looked immediately to the left. And so here comes Tyler Durbin, senior from Virginia. This from 40 yards. Made a chip shot earlier. And this one curls in. So Ohio State, a 56-yard, 8-play field. Second field goal for Durbin. And it's chipped away at the Badger lead. They've really led throughout tonight. A little breeze blowing right to left, helping all those kickoffs as we bring in the Bear, Chris Felica, with tonight's Aflac Trivia question.
Thanks, Chris. Wisconsin, of course, has beaten 2 teams this year ranked in the top 10 at game time. Who was the last Big Ten team to win 3 games in a season versus a top 10 team prior to the conference championship?
Prior to the conference championship, so 3 regular season top 10 wins. There haven't been a ton of years when the Big Ten's had a whole bunch of teams in the top 10.
No.
Get knocked off by 1 team.
It might be in Iowa, but I got to.
That's not your final answer
80,
yet?
85, 85 maybe?
It's impressive if that's right. Play action on first down. Hornibrook now flips it short. It's a screen here to Fumagalli. And the tight end lowers his head for a nice first down. Yeah, all right, Bear. Kirk's impatient. He wants to know if he's right with his Iowa guess.
Time now to answer that Aflac Trivia question. I'll check on Iowa for you in break, but the answer is Michigan in 2003. Beat top 10 Purdue, Michigan State, and Ohio State. All victims to the Wolverines that year.
2003 Michigan.
So the Breeze era?
Bonus question, who was the quarterback on that team? Bear?
That was John Navarre, wasn't it?
No, I don't think so. What? Was it Navarre? Look, dig that one up for me.
Bonus questions. Peavy again on the end around. This play has worked 3 times for Wisconsin. They moved the 6 to the 40.
When you run the ball inside, your defensive linemen have to think about collapsing down, winning their gap. And what a great compliment for Paul Chryst is Jake Peavy running around the edge. Ohio State continuing to lose that edge, and Peavy just continuing to pick up big yards, not only through the air but also on the ground. 3rd time he's run the ball, is already 48 yards.
Officials timeout. There's an issue with the chains.
That's a great name, isn't it? Jazz Peavy. He's been in tune tonight. Junior from Kenosha, Wisconsin.
Jazz Peavy is really their best vertical threat. We saw him earlier with that touchdown pass.
Yeah, he only had 4 carries coming into tonight's game, so they hadn't shown that a lot. You get the feeling that Paul Chryst was going to show the Buckeyes defense some things they hadn't featured too much earlier this year. This you expect to see. I formation handoff to Clement, who uses a stiff arm and is finally slammed down by Chris Worley. Strength on strength there.
One thing that for fans that are watching at home and they're watching Wisconsin give Ohio State's defense a lot of different formations, personnel groups. They're moving tight ends from right to the left. The receivers that are in motion. Because Ohio State has to adjust so much with their front and the secondary, they're just trying to affect the Ohio State communication and they're trying to create a gap or hit a crease when they're running the football. That's why they're giving them so many different looks.
They pitch it to Clement this time. It was around that left side for a short gain. It'll be 3rd down. By the way, you were correct. John Navarre was the quarterback from Michigan in 03.
Paul Chryst made it very clear to us. He said, we can't just line up in the same formation and run the football and have success against Ohio State's athletes. We've got to do a lot of different stuff. Give them a lot of different window dressing to try to affect them. Here comes a 3rd down. Keep an eye on Nick Bosa, who again is in the middle there, matched up against Benshaw.
Bosa with one of the 2 Ohio State sacks so far. Hornibrook delivers, strike for Fumagalli, first down. Another accurate throw to a very reliable route runner.
Watch him go to the outside and then back to the inside. It's a great route. Hornibrook in rhythm here. Does a nice job because of the middle linebacker McMillan on the blitz. It opened up the middle, and Hornibrook sits in there patiently, even though he's getting blitzed, and waits for his tight end to open up.
He's a tough guy. He had his hands stepped on in practice before the opener against LSU. 30 stitches. 15 on the top, 15 on the bottom. Just goes out and plays against the Bayou Bengals. No problem. Hornibrook from the pocket, checks it down. Ogunbowale is hit hard. Picks up about 4. Worley again on the stop. He's been active.
And Luke Fickell telling us a great story about Chris Worley. We talked so much about Ohio State losing all those great players to the NFL. And collectively, these guys, a lot of new faces. And Chris Worley, they said, is a great story. Guy who's a fourth-year guy has had to sit around and wait behind some superstars like guys like Darren Lee and Josh Perry, and now it's his turn, and he seems to have a great appreciation for it after sitting around and learning from some of those guys, and now it's his turn.
Coaches love those guys, don't they? The grinders. Patience pays off. Hornibrook rolls out, and that time could not find Rob Wheelwright. Just beyond his outstretched hands. It'll be third down.
But again, that same look where they threw it to the tight end earlier to Fumagalli. This time they're trying to get it to the Columbus native. Wheelwright is just a little bit beyond his grasp to be able to come up with a catch. But the exact same kind of sail route where it's about 18 to 20 yards and bending towards the sideline. That's an open hole right now in that defense.
Badgers 2 of 5 so far on third down. Hornibrook steps up. Could have scrambled, now takes a downfield shot, and it's complete. Down at the 10-yard line. Fumagalli again got free from Damon Webb, the safety.
Well, Malik Hooker, number 24 here, takes his eyes off of the tight end. Right there, you can see him just in front of Fumagalli. He got his eyes caught up because the quarterback looked like he might scramble. He loses where Fumagalli is, and he's able to sneak behind him. How about the catch? And then the toe tap there to stay in bounds. And on the route, he stayed in bounds. Great awareness there by 81.
I'd like to throw, too. Just wafted right in the perfect position. So Badgers handed to Clement, who's cut down very quickly. Charging up into the gap there was Lattimore, the corner. Badgers trying to, again, be efficient in the red zone, add to this lead. We're just 4-12 before halftime. Impressive, Hornibrook tonight. Clement. Stutter steps, goes for the corner, and scores as a flag comes down well away from where Clement was scampering. I think he knows this one's coming back. This was right there on the offensive line pit, Kirk.
Holding, offense number 81. 10-yard penalty, repeat, second down.
He's made some good plays tonight, but the tight end said, yeah, that one's on me, Fumagalli.
And just grabs a hold of the jersey of Damon Webb, 7. You see right there, grabs a hold of it. Official right on top of it, but what a cut there. The jump cuts by Clement before he got to the corner where the block was attempted by Fumagalli, but obviously grabs a hold of Damon Webb.
And when you grab a jersey like that in the open and then put your hands up like it wouldn't me, that doesn't usually work.
Yeah, it's almost like a foul in basketball, and then it's like, hey, no, wasn't me.
The flag came flying in, was spotted from a long way away, but again, pretty obvious. Moves the ball back to the 14, second and goal. Hornibrook caught up in traffic and able to escape, but not much there. Back to the line of scrimmage before Rashad Berry. corral them.
It's just very rare to see this offense at this stage of the growth of where they are with the offensive line and a redshirt freshman quarterback dropping back. Paul Chryst has done a masterful job tonight mixing up the looks, mixing up the formations, the play calling. Jazz Peavy on the jet sweeps have Ohio State a bit on their heels, but the drop back puts a lot of pressure on that offensive line to be able to hold the defensive line and that pressure out. That time more of a coverage sack.
How risky will Chryst and his quarterback be on 3rd and goal back at the 14? Hornibrook. Long throw incomplete. Tried to find Peavy in the corner. Damon Arnett was in coverage, and here comes Andrew Endicott for a field goal.
Talked about when they drop back, how this defensive line, and obviously on 3rd down they're gonna try to get after him. They want to make him feel. Sometimes you don't always come up with a sack, but you can affect him, and Jalen Holmes does just that. And by forcing him to throw that maybe just a little bit early, although it's still a pretty accurate throw, pretty good effort there.
Again, Endicott, who was the backup picker at the beginning of the season, was reliable the first time from 46. This is from 32. And Endicott has stepped up because Rafael Gaglianone was a terrific kicker. There was some concern when he had back surgery. Endicott said, hey, don't worry about that. I got this. Impressive scoring drives in this first half, Kirk, and they've got 252 total yards against a very stout defense.
Yeah, done a really good job with their attack, and up to this point they've kept Ohio State, I think, a bit off balance with that offensive game plan.
Gostkowski boots it deep, and Paris Campbell's going to give it a go from 2 yards in. And he is spun down and shot short on the 20-yard line. So 2:43 to work with for Barrett as we give you a backstage pass throughout the weekend to see what goes on behind the scenes. See these big football trucks. Ohio State had the original 18-wheeler to haul around the equipment. These are the unsung heroes of the program, these folks here.
Yeah, as a player, you show up and everything's in your locker. These guys do so much work to make sure everything's set up and you're ready to go.
The truck weighs 60,000 pounds. Ken Blair Jr. was a Buckeye walk-on back in '82, the driver of that truck. See if Ohio State can cut into a 7-point Badger lead. They pitch it to Samuel, who has been extremely busy. But now the Badgers starting to focus in on him. Sitchie again with a tackle for the loss.
And Sitchie actually saw Samuel coming in motion and actually started to take off running before he even had his hands on the ball. Again, anticipating, looking around, seeing things, and just doing their homework and film work to get them ready to play. 48, heck of a player there in the middle.
Leading tackler on this team. Again, Barrett from the pocket looking downfield for Noah Brown, and he was well covered by Sojourn Shelton. He's undersized. He's generously listed at 5'9", but he's a tough guy to beat deep, and he has great technique, doesn't he, that corner?
And he's a veteran. I remember he started, we called a game one year. He was a freshman. Has a lot of confidence from Fort Lauderdale. Loves to be on an island. He is undersized. You get a good look at it there next to Noah Brown, who's 6'2". But I'll tell you, Chris, Ohio State 2 years ago had Devin Smith. Last year they had guys like Braxton Miller, but of course Michael Thomas that could get downfield. And while Noah Brown had success against Oklahoma, he's more of a physical guy that's going to outfight you for the ball. They're still trying to find that guy that can get downfield.
They got to hurry. Urban Meyer says that let's get a timeout here. The play clock was winding down, and he came in determined, Kirk, to get those deep shots, to fix the passing game. So far, it hasn't happened. Barrett 6 of 14 as we check in with Cassidy Hubbard for an update. It's been a frustrating season so far for last season's Heisman runner-up from Stanford. All right, Barrett and the Buckeyes need 11 on this 3rd down. Are they going to turn the ball back over to the Badgers before the break here?
I think that's one of the reasons that Urban Meyer, not only the play clock going down, but Urban Meyer senses the importance here, because Paul Chryst probably has confidence with a timeout, 2 minutes to go. If they get the ball back, they're thinking of at the very least trying to get into field goal range. This will be interesting to see the pass protection. Ohio State against these linebackers. JT Barrett knows the ball has got to get out of his hands quickly, especially in an empty set without a back there to help him out.
Watt asking for crowd noise, and they need no encouragement here. And Samuel in the slot. 5 receivers for Barrett to choose from. And the Badgers do show some of that pressure. But they back out, and Barrett takes off, and he is stopped right away by Alec James. Yet another talented edge player.
Well, when they go empty, the scouting report says you can anticipate, especially on 3rd down, the possibility of the quarterback draw. Those linebackers are in there, but the linebackers don't even have to make the play. As you said, Alec James, his awareness and being able to get around with his speed and then close in on JT Barrett. You don't have it that day, and you're hoping to just be able to execute just enough to get out of there alive, and that's kind of what Clemson felt like today.
Dabo Swinney said, Lord have mercy, we got to learn to hold on to the football. And the 5 turnovers against Louisville, they survived that. Survived 4 more today. But they're living on the edge, Clemson. There's Johnston to punt it. Clement way back at his 30. Low kick with backspin, and Clement almost a fair catch at the 35-yard line. Well, the College Football Playoff National Championship Trophy presented by Dr. Pepper made him a cameo today. One of the great institutions in any college town anywhere. Mickey's Dairy Bar, Kirk. Got to enjoy the shake today.
Yeah, you got to have. I think I had the scrambler for a breakfast yesterday, and then you got the milkshakes.
Milkshakes, big time.
Yeah.
It's just right across the street from Camp Randall, and it's I don't think it's changed inside or out in about 60 years, right?
No, I think
it's like stepping in a time machine over there.
It really is. After game day, came on the bus, and Billy Bonnell, the producer of the show tonight, he had about 40 different milkshakes, about every flavor you can imagine.
Appreciate that, Bill. Delivery man extraordinaire. That's what the Badgers can do. Minute 57. 65 yards from the end zone. No timeouts to work with. And this time on the end around, it's Peavy breaking loose on the right side. Paul Chryst says, hey, if it's working, I'm going to go with it again and again.
Yeah, and these defensive ends keep collapsing down. And not only is he getting outside and getting outside of the contain, he's got 2 big tight ends. They're just blocking undersized defensive backs and just picking up huge yards. And again, at the very least, they're thinking about a field goal. Remember, they get the ball to start the second half. This is a big possession for the Badgers and the Ohio State defense.
You know, Chris likes to spin challenges as opportunities, so we were joking with him. What an opportunity / challenge as a play caller. You're not running the ball that well. Your receivers are not getting separation. He's found ways to attack this Ohio State defense tonight.
Sandbagging us yesterday.
Hornibrook from the pocket delivers far side, and coming back is Wheelwright, the Columbus native, finally gets involved in his first catch of the night.
And there's that same route where they have a matchup that they like with Wheelwright, who's 6'3" and has ability. You can see the quarterback is in great rhythm, puts the ball low and away where Wheelwright can make a play, matched up there against Garyon Conley, who's in the slot, just breaks away from him.
Number 15 averaging 15 yards a catch coming in. He's called a streak shooter by Chris. You want to get him involved early and gets his head in the game, and then he can have a big night. And they finally do just before halftime. Threatening again. Hornibrook delivers, and that's for Magali who makes the catch. They're in field goal range now, inside the 30.
Just can't get over the hands, how soft the hands are on the big tight end. 6'6", 250 pounds. Has receiver hands.
You got a tight end who can catch, Kirk, and you got an accurate quarterback. You can use that, right?
Yeah, he is so efficient tonight. And again, it all works together. 8 of 12, 125 yards with a touchdown.
Peavy in motion again. They give it to him again. He gets around the corner again for another first down.
Luke Fickell and Greg Schiano are going to have to make an adjustment. Time the defensive end, and they've been rolling different guys in, was Nick Bosa, and he didn't even know he came in to make a play, and he couldn't even tell where the ball was. It was around him.
More carries for the receiver in this first half than he had all season coming in.
Well, now what you can do if you're Paul Chryst, and I'm sure he'll go to it, is you can fake that, give it to Corey Clement, or fake that, and you can throw a play action pass off of it, because now everybody's worried about the running of Jazz Peavy around the edge.
All 5 of his carries have created first downs, and they do feed Clement. He cuts it and spins back, but not much there. Closing it down was Robert Landers, the true freshman, and Draymond Jones. The BMW halftime report. Stan Barrett, Mark May, Mac Brown coming up. Scores and highlights, updates from the night games. Minute 16 away. Badgers on 2nd and 9. Send Hornibrook back, and he flips it short. Screen. Clement has room. Clement makes a cut. Back inside the 5-yard line. Badgers in business again.
Heck of a time to call the screen. It's just a matter of being able to dump it off. You can see the line letting the defensive line in, and now they're downfield blocking. Fumagalli, the tight end, almost just shields his guy from getting to Clement. Very, very well timed there by Paul Christ.
Only the 2nd catch for Clement this season. The first went for negative yards. That went for 18. And Hornibrook from the pocket is hit as he throws and sails it. That was quick pressure by Sam Hubbard.
Ohio State's defense very, very fortunate that they got pressure on Hornibrook because Fumagalli was wide open, but big Sam Hubbard that time gets by Jacob Maxwell, the right tackle, and saves Ohio State from giving up a touchdown. The defense looks confused. They're running crossers and rub routes, and Ohio State not doing a good job communicating in coverage, and it's freeing up wide receivers. One guy you have to identify if they're going to throw the ball is the big tight end, number 81, Fumagalli.
8th play of the drive coming up. Ogunbowale tries to muscle, but gets very little. Again, Draymond Jones. It'll be 3rd and goal. Clock running with no timeouts.
Yeah, no timeouts. Wisconsin's, they called that play anticipating maybe not getting into the end zone. They have 3rd down. They take a shot here to try to get into the end zone. And potentially, if it doesn't work out, you have to settle for a field goal.
You cannot take a sack here, though. Now Ohio State's going to spend the time out on defense. With the clock winding down, if they get to him and sack him, you'd have to really hustle the field goal team out there. Well, this is a Wisconsin team, Kirk, that clearly made use of its bye week. They came limping back home. It was a 14-7 loss on the road to Michigan, but the game really wasn't that close. Wolverines dominated them. This is a Wisconsin team that looks more like what we saw early in the season.
Well, when you play LSU, Michigan State in East Lansing, and Michigan in Ann Arbor, and you have a young offensive line, that bye week couldn't have come at a better time. I think it allowed them to be able to work on some things. They told us they were able to self-scout and look at what was working, what they were struggling with as an offense, and I think it really gave their quarterback, who took a vicious hit early in that game against Michigan, a chance for also him to recover. And keep in mind, this is his 3rd start. The way he's played in this first half, he looks like a seasoned veteran, and I think a lot of that has to do with him, but also with the attack that Paul Christ has put together.
He's enjoying the fact that he's finally at home. The first 2 starts, East Lansing and the Big House, he has outplayed J.T. Barrett so far as the Buckeyes continue to struggle with the pass game. Now, what do you call here? You want to get the ball out quickly.
Yeah, and you know, you want to give your quarterback a chance to be able to, you don't have to panic and just get back and get rid of it. But there does have to be kind of an internal clock and awareness, especially as good as Ohio State can rush the quarterback, that you get back there, and it's probably just going to be get back, one hitch, ball is out. And again, you got to find a way to try to free up the big tight end, Fumagalli.
They've got the field goal team huddling at the 30-yard line just in case they need to hustle out and set up an attempt for Endicott. 3rd and goal. Hornibrook fires far side for Ogunbowale, but it's incomplete.
See, that's the first throw that we've seen where he wasn't in, like, his balance wasn't there. And I think it's because of what you just said. Don't take a sack. And I'm sure they told him as he went out, don't take a sack. And so he gets back there, and watch his feet. Watch how different this looks compared to what we've seen. He didn't step through it. He wasn't able to follow through on the throw, and consequently it affects his accuracy, and the ball kind of sails on it.
So Andrew Endicott is trying to make his 3rd field goal in the half. He had 1 in his life coming in, and I mean high school and college combined. This from 22 yards, driven straight through. And Wisconsin, Kirk, with 313 yards offense, 4 long drives in the opening half.
And another 10-play drive, and again, we said it earlier, but to stop that the Wisconsin defense got with about 2 minutes to go, got the ball back to Hornibrook. They drive down, almost come up with a touchdown, but they get a field goal. They're up 10. And again, do not forget, we come back, start this third quarter. Wisconsin has the football.
That took a minute 42. Ohio State's offense has run 34 plays, and they've gained just 161 yards. This is the Ohio State drive chart. 4 punts and those 2 field goals.
It's the first half. If Ohio State ends up not scoring in these last 14 seconds, it'll be the first half all year that they've not scored a touchdown.
Badgers have been a very fast starting defense. They'd only allowed 3 points all season in the first quarter. That's what the Buckeyes got. But I think Meyer expected to come out and certainly fix the problems they had against the Hoosiers and click passing and running tonight. So far hasn't happened. But still down just 10.
The other thing to keep in mind, even though Ohio State beat Oklahoma, this is the youngest team coming into this year in the entire Power 5.
In terms of returning starters, yeah.
3 on offense and 3 on defense. So there's still a young team in these kind of situations trying to figure things out.
Endicott, who's been the field goal kicker tonight, is not the regular kickoff guy. It's Rosowski, so he'll just boot it along the ground. And that's going to get away from Campbell, who touches it. And now has to try to do something, and will be dropped across the 25 with just 9 seconds before halftime.
I think JT Barrett takes a knee or a short run, and you get back into halftime. Urban Meyer's got to be anxious to get in.
How much rattles JT? So what would the conversation be? You know, if you're Ed Warner, Tim Beck, the co-offensive coordinators.
I don't think it's probably communicating with JT Barrett about what he's seeing. Nobody has a better look about what's happening and what Wisconsin's doing than JT Barrett. Now Ed Warner's their offensive coordinator. He's upstairs. He's looking down and recognizing it. But over the years, Urban Meyer's been credited often about his adjustments. He's got his hands full tonight. We'll see what they do in the second half.
JT with more runs than completed passes. This is Weber for 10 yards.
Second week in a row.
Yep.
Same issues last week against Indiana. This is a whole totally different deal. Better defense on the road in this environment.
Well, the home underdog Badgers hold Ohio State to 6 in the first half, the fewest a Meyer-coached team from Columbus has ever had. Wisconsin trying to spring an upset, leads 16-6. Stay tuned for the BMW halftime report, and Sam Ponder will speak with Paul Chryst right after these messages. Road game winning streak on the line. Meyer has never lost a true road game at Ohio State, but his offense has never had a less productive first half. And the deep kickoff by Durbin. And the Badgers will take over. The Pacific Life game summary really highlighting what you talked about. This could be a bigger lead than it is.
It really started early. Their ability to run the football, control things up front, taking the pressure off of the quarterback, who's made some great decisions throwing the ball. Peavy's had a big night running and throwing, and this defense is as good as advertised. Linebackers are incredibly active, making it very tough, even when Ohio State got deep into Wisconsin territory, coming up with a big play there on a third down. And they have come after JT Barrett. They're basically telling Ohio State, we're going to load up to stop your run. Can you throw the ball to beat us?
And can you stop our run? They feed Clement again. This is a guy that was very limited by both the Spartans and the Wolverines, but Clement with 110 rushing yards in the first half, got 6 more there.
And I know that Paul Chryst had success on that jet sweep with Peavy. I think it can become potentially a decoy in the second half. They used it even on that first play. They put him in motion. Ohio State's defense, I'm sure that's a big adjustment that they made, the Paul Chryst play of getting outside. They're trying not to lose those edges so they can open up the middle of the Ohio State defense.
So stretch him wide, then take a deep shot down the middle. We'll look for that. In the meantime, Clement picks his way, shows some more patience there, gets close to a first down. It'll be 3rd and short. Just to feel good for this offensive line that has been so heavily criticized. It is a first down. That's a very generous spot. They'll move the sticks. Remember all these guys that are following in the footsteps of a bunch of ex-Badgers in the NFL. 8 offensive linemen from this school in the league, and They're freshmen and sophomores.
Yeah, I was going to say, with Paul Chryst back and with the strength and conditioning program back to where they expect it to be now, they're on their way back to becoming that again. They're just very, very young in that development.
Peavy has it again. That time they were more ready for him as Malik Hooker, the big hitting safety, knocked him out of bounds for a shorter gain.
And again, now you get the football. Again, this is a successful play. They get outflanked, but there's a great job by Malik Hooker. And if I'm Wisconsin's coaches and I look down and I see a safety that's reacting to that jet sweep like that, now you're going to go back to it. You're going to fake it to Peavy. You're going to drop back, and you're going to try to hit a post behind it if the safety's attacking down like that against that action.
Hornibrook on 2nd and 7, flips it short, and it's dropped. It was off the hands of Eric Steffes, the tight end. It'll be 3rd down.
He had him. Steffes was open. Good recognition. He came off actually to his second choice there. Ball's thrown behind him, but you know, it's a ball that Steffes can definitely make a catch. He's known more for his physicality as a big tight end. Fumagalli makes most of the receptions for their tight ends.
Fumagalli, the only receiver that's caught more than one pass tonight. He had 5 in the first half. You'd think the Buckeyes would pay attention to number 81 here on 3rd down. Hornibrook is swarmed under and sacked. Off the edge was Jalen Holmes with his 2nd sack of the year, and the Buckeyes 3rd tonight.
And the entire game plan for Ohio State was to get this offensive line into 3rd and obvious passing situations. And Holmes here in the middle of this Ohio State defense, really nothing fancy. It's just a good combination of power and speed. And again, it's young Bo Benshaw, the right guard, that continues to struggle on those 3rd down situations. Before it was Bosa, this time it's Holmes.
One of those guys that plays with a chip on his shoulder, eager to prove himself. And there's the punt, and it is a short one. Fielded on the hop and then dropped. Risky play, and the Badgers say they've got it. Dontre Wilson decided to try to field it on the bounce. And Meyer just drops his head in dismay. It's going to be Ohio State ball. Somehow at the bottom of the pile, Wilson was able to atone for his mistake.
He just, anytime you see it, you see his eyes dip down to see where they were coming from, and obviously a big time no-no. You take your eye off the ball, even though you think you're going to be able to secure it. Right there, right here, he peeks up to see who's coming down. You either let that go or you just get out of there. You cannot afford to put yourself in such a dangerous position. Fortunate.
Still no turnovers tonight.
Yeah, he was fortunate to get the ball back.
Barrett feeds Weber. And Powers for a nice game. Sam, what did Urban Meyer have to say coming out of halftime?
Frustrated at halftime, just like he is right now. Chris told me there wasn't a single area of football where his guys were doing what they were supposed to be doing, and he knows he's got some young guys who haven't been in this position before, wants to see how they respond. I asked him where the opportunity was. He said it's downfield, it's underneath, it's all there. We just have to execute.
All right, thanks. Well, Weber, who came in the Big Ten lead in rushing yards so far this season, able to get 8 that time. Barrett rolling out and decides to keep it, and will be stopped near the marker by TJ Edwards.
It looks like he may have come up with a first down. That play, it looked a little indecisive there with JT Barrett rolling out, and even once he was almost at the line of scrimmage and beyond the line of scrimmage, still kind of looking downfield.
He almost cost himself the first down. They did give it to him.
Urban Meyer very active up at the top.
He's hunched over there, right near the line of scrimmage. Barrett runs it toward the boundary, breaks a tackle, shows that leg strength, and dives forward. Not the fastest guy, but tough to tackle.
Well, it's that he's so physical, as you said. We talked about that this morning on game day. Is, you know, you've heard Urban Meyer from time to time compare him to a Tim Tebow. A lot of that has to do more with the intangibles, but Tim didn't necessarily explode when he was running the ball, but he'd run over top of guys, and JT's not quite that physical, but he does bring some physicality. We're able to run through some arm tackles.
Definitely not contact averse from the pocket. Barrett puts it underneath, and Paris Campbell makes the catch. First down at the 35-yard line.
That was the first time that Ohio State gave JT Barrett some time to throw, and the reason is Wisconsin, instead of bringing those linebackers, look at this, there's only 3 guys. This time they have 5 underneath to try to take away the underneath routes. Campbell does a nice job of finding the hole there in that zone.
Take it to Samuel, and Barrett took a look downfield, nobody open, and now takes off. JT weaving inside the 15-yard line.
Same thing, rushing 3, a little bit of a delayed blitz from the middle linebacker TJ Edwards, but playing zone, everybody covered. Great recognition that time by JT Barrett, deciding to hold on to it, found a crease there and took off for big yards.
You got 22 of them. Option look, keeping all the way, and knocked down after a 2-yard gain. And here comes the rain. All of a sudden, the rain that was forecast arrives here early in the 3rd quarter. Will not make it easier for the quarterbacks.
Talked to both the coaches on the field about potential wet conditions, and both telling me that they're very comfortable with the mechanics and their quarterbacks having big hands and being able to hold on to the football. We'll see if that ends up playing out.
The fans are screaming for the raincoats, and then some just don't care. The students happy to get wet.
They've been prepping for the game since 8 o'clock this morning.
It's Samuel in motion on 2nd and 9. Now reverses direction. Barrett rolling that way, delivers into the end zone, intercepted. A diving pick by Dakota Dixon. He has been a big playmaker for this team. Interception in the win over LSU. Forced a fumble against the Spartans.
Well, just when we talk about the conditions, I think this ball just comes out of his hand. He has an open receiver there, and he just missed it. Ball floats over top of the potential receiver, James Clark, right into the hands of Dakota Dixon for the interception.
I'll take a look at that, I'm sure.
Drive game of the week.
All right, Larry, thanks. Let's take another look at this because the replay official Stephen Beckman has to confirm that Dakota Dixon got his forearm under the ball, Kirk.
Yeah, watch his left arm as his body turns. Ball slips out of the hands of JT Barrett. Watch the left forearm turn and get underneath, preventing the ball. That's a great effort from hitting the surface. It's a good interception there by Dixon.
So the ball, with the rain, which was short-lived, by the way, it's basically stopped. It lasted just long enough to affect that throw by Barrett, the game's first turnover. Clement hit for a loss there. Flying in was Jalen Holmes, who's been active tonight.
Well, Jalen Holmes with some penetration. Ohio State, remember, they've made adjustments at halftime. They've come back out here, and the defensive line has really done a nice job of getting things established up front. You see that Nick Bosa playing more and more. He's playing right now at the left defensive end. along with another true freshman, Robert Landers, out of Dayton Wayne.
Didn't have too many Buckeyes on his helmet yet. He'll get a bunch before he's done. Talented freshman. Play action. Hornibrook backpedaling, and Fumagalli was very, very well covered by Damon Webb. Nowhere to go with it. And Bosa was chasing him again.
I was just going to. There's Bosa applies the pressure, but give Damon Webb a lot of credit. This is the same play that gave them a problem to not only open the game, but throughout most of the first half. This time, completely taking it away is Damon Webb. Now he's 5'10", but he's a former corner, really good in coverage. And even though Fumagalli is at 6'6", that play really didn't have a chance. Great coverage by Webb. Now you put that line and a young quarterback here into that obvious passing situation.
Need 11. Hornibrook pressured again. It's a screen dumped off, and they are all over Ogunbowale. Jerome Baker stopped him in an excellent defensive series for the Buckeyes.
Second one in a row. Holmes gets in. They're trying to set up, anticipating pressure, but the eyes that time by Jerome Baker, guy that really exploded onto the scene this year, having a chance to replace Josh Perry. Big interception against Oklahoma, but he felt that, and the offensive line trying to get out there to block him. By the time they saw him, with his speed, he was already by him and into the backfield.
Sowski into punt. And making the catch, no fair catch made that time by Wilson, and he is dropped in Wisconsin territory at the 48-yard line. Again, some hesitation from the returner. Barrett off the pick, back in business with good field position. The Showers moving away. Ohio State takes over after a very poor punt at the Badgers 47.
Ohio State's defense 2 3 and outs. Now best starting field position of the night for J.T. Barrett.
Two back look on either side of the quarterback, and they pitch it off to Samuel, who's pursued instantly. That's just excellent defense. Leo Musso, the senior safety, arrived in a hurry, and Zach Bond helped clean him up.
Well, that's great defense, and it's also tremendous speed here by Leo Musso. Watch how he runs. You're talking about Curtis Samuel, one of the faster backs, not just in the Big Ten, but the country. But the angle that he took prevented the cutback. And Musso, who is a great athlete coming out of high school quarterback, a high school tailback, shows that speed there.
He had 5,500 rushing yards in high school. 87 touchdowns. Samuel in the flat gets a couple of blocks and knifes between them to the 40-yard line. Third and short now.
They brought the linebackers these last couple plays, something they got away from the previous series. Remember, we talked about rushing 3 and dropping 8. This time Justin Wilcox, the defensive coordinator, says let's get back to our roots. Let's get these outside linebackers 42 and 5. Let's turn them loose.
Barrett again running all the way and picks his way for a first down. He was slammed down hard by Sitchy, but forward progress should move the sticks.
I'm telling you, it is tough sledding. It is physical. You're going to run the football. J.T. Barrett carried it 26 times last week against Indiana. There's Watt lowering the boom there on the tight end, trying to make a block.
What Sitchy tells us, we're going to put him in the ice bath. If he runs it that many times,
but you ask him that, and he was like, it wasn't that bad. Well, it's a different game tonight.
Barrett buys a bunch of time and loops the ball to the end zone. Jump ball incomplete. That was McLaren going high for it, couldn't collect it.
It's actually a heck of a throw. Being patient, waiting for, you're improvising. These are things that are hard to really practice. And with an entire new group of wide receivers, you got to make a play. The ball is thrown right where it needs to be. And again, it's a young sophomore. Look at the shot. He knows that hit is coming from Sitchy, but he waited and waited until McLaren had a chance to go up and make a play. If he goes up and holds on to the ball, it's a touchdown.
Still have yet to connect on one of those deep shots tonight. That was a first down throw. Now it's a second down. Handoff to Samuel. Follows his blockers. Picks up about 10.
Great block.
You knew he was going to be a big part of the offense tonight, Kirkin. And already Samuel's carried it 11 times, caught 3 passes, leading receiver and rusher.
He's the offense. He and J.T. Barrett. I think what Urban Meyer wants to see is this offense grow as some other players get involved in taking the pressure off of them.
JT, who's also been busy again, stopped short. Sitchy again on the tackle.
Well, it starts with J.T. Watt setting the edge, forcing J.T. Barrett to try to come underneath, and that's where Sitchy is able to make the play. That combination of 42 on the edge and 48 in the middle has been active.
TJ introducing himself to JT once again.
Watch him set the edge and then watch Sitchy clean it up. J.T. Barrett would love to get outside, but the edge is set. He's forced inside, and here comes the middle linebacker able to clean it up.
Meanwhile, Kirk Jamarco Jones, the junior left tackle for Ohio State, is being looked at by the trainers. A chance to check in with Cassidy Hubbarth for an update. Cassidy, thank you. It's 4th down, 4th and 1. Ohio State goes for it a lot on 4th down.
Yeah, I mean, but they don't have nights like this very often, so maybe that's why they go for it. You know, looks like he rolls his ankle right there, just stepping on the foot of Isaiah Prince, the other tackle.
Injury.
Yeah.
Wow.
But again, interesting call for Urban Meyer, because if you kick a field goal and you make it, it's back to a one-possession game. But you're right, his MO is to go for it, and that's what he's going to do.
They need almost a full yard.
Remember, Wisconsin, one of the best defenses in the country at 3rd and 4th and short. Probably need to get wide to have a chance.
In motion, and Wilson give it to Weber, and he plows for a first down inside the 25. Good forward drive by the freshman tailback.
Yeah, great power by Weber, but how about the offensive line that time? Pat Elflein, the center, and Billy Price, the right guard, the two veterans leading the way for the powerful Mike Weber. That's a heck of an accomplishment against that defensive front.
So on first down, Weber again, and very quick penetration. That's Sitchy, the former walk-on, again just flying in there, throws his body.
You know,
at ball carriers.
He's one of those guys, and anybody out there that's played linebacker can really appreciate this. When he brings up film study and looking at the offensive linemen, especially the guards, amount of pressure they put on their hands, and if they're sitting back in their stance or they're sitting forward in their stance, it tips him off on being able to know where the ball is going to be going. So it helps him anticipate where to attack, and that's a great example there of that last play.
The dude does love the details, doesn't he?
Yeah.
How to play the position. Fake it to Weber. Barrett sidesteps pressure, delivers into traffic, and that was Dakota Dixon, who just had the pick. A chance at another one.
And Derek Tyndall on the outside. Tyndall the outside, man to man. Leave your corners on an island. They've got to be able to hold up. You could see the look there. He actually missed his tight end, Marcus Ball, who had his man beat. He locks in on Noah Brown. Ball's thrown behind. Tyndall almost jumped it.
3rd and 10. As loud as it's been tonight. Barrett pressured, escapes, delivers far side, and a catch made for a first down by Brown. Let's see if they give him forward progress where the catch is made. Now they're going to spot it short. It's going to be 4th down again.
Again, we just talked about 4th and 1 and how Urban Meyer, he likes to go for it. A lot of times he likes to go with tempo. They're going for it again.
Again, they give it to Weber, and he fights hard again, able to pick up the first down just through strength and will.
That was Mike Weber. Last 4th and 1 was the offensive line along with Weber. This is Mike Weber wanting to get the first down. Look at the penetration. They stop him short right there. There's Sitchy once again. Elflein helping out to push, but that was the power of the big running back, Mike Weber, to pick that up.
12th play of this drive. And now Barrett, play action for the end zone. A battle for the ball. A flag comes out as Brown was interfered with by Musso.
He was left outside there one-on-one with Shelton, the veteran, the senior. He has an advantage on size. He got behind him, Chris, and when you get behind him and Shelton
Pass
doesn't...
interference. Defense, number 8. Foul occurred in the end zone by rule. The ball's placed at the 2-yard line. Automatic first down.
Again, we talk about this all the time because he's beaten. Watch his eyes. Watch his headgear. He's behind him right now. No, he never turns around. A lot of contact. 2 officials actually make the call. Gives Ohio State the ball. That right tackle, by the way, that time looks like he moved before the ball was snapped. They got away with one there.
Here's the progressive pylon, Ken. You knew they were going to take a red zone shot to Brown against the short corner, but Shelton, tough competitor. So now, ball at the 2-yard line. First and goal. Weber muscles down near the goal line. Stopped just short.
They're trying to get guys in and off the field.
And now sprinting down to call a timeout. They did try to get some fresh bodies on there on 2nd and goal. Badgers will have to spend one here.
Hard to do when Ohio State doesn't substitute.
Chris showing some quickness down there to the corner. Buckeyes a methodical drive trying to cash in good field position and cut into the lead. Second and goal, and just outside the 1.
Think about that. Urban Meyer offense, I mean, a lot of times they'll score in a minute, 2 minutes. They're going 46 yards, 12 plays to get those 46 yards, and they're still trying to finish off the drive with a touchdown.
There's a spread. 4 receivers.
Now, if they stay in that look, the quarterback run, obviously.
Badgers unable to stop Barrett, who barrels in for Ohio State's first touchdown tonight. And they do cap a grinding 47-yard march to the end zone.
When in doubt, you follow the veteran Pat Elflein, the senior center, and Billy Price, the junior. Both these guys have played for the last few years. And Elflein that time, a heck of a block, and being able to turn the nose guard to open up a little bit of a running lane for Barrett.
Here's Durbin. Yeah, Elflein for sure one of the candidates for the Remington Award, the top center in the country.
Yeah, watch him in the middle. Watch how he's able to just do enough here to be able to get a push there and open up a nice. It's also Billy Price, the right guard, picks up Sitchie. They know that it's coming. See the safety having to try to come in there, Dixon, but Sitchie was picked up by Billy Price, and Elflein also picked up the nose guard, and JT Barrett gets into the end zone for Ohio State to cut it to 3. And you're right, the guts of Urban Meyer. You get into field goal range, you got a shot to get it within a 1-possession game. The offense hasn't necessarily been blowing people off the ball. He takes the chance, believes in his guys, and twice it ends up paying off for him to get a touchdown and pull within 3.
You get a feeling whatever was said at halftime, Meyer frustrated in the locker room. It is helped motivate this Ohio State team. The defense has played very well after the break, and now the offense finally finds the end zone. And then the return out short of the 20-yard line. We check back in with Cassidy. Wow, former Ohio State offensive coordinator Tom Herman narrowly dodges a second loss for his Cougars.
That loss to Navy may have taken some of the wind out of their sails there, but see what Paul Chryst does to adjust. Remember, it's been a slow start to this second half for the Wisconsin offense.
Hornibrook rolls out and delivers to reliable Jazz Peavy on the far sideline. Nice game.
I think more than anything, Ohio State has kind of cranked up the intensity at the point of attack, at the line of scrimmage, with the defensive line winning the battle. And the other thing is they were able to get Hornibrook into some obvious passing situations, a lot more third and long, where they can kind of put him in awkward and difficult positions to be able to execute against their defense and their secondary.
They get 8 on first down. Here comes Peavy in motion again, but they feed Clement, who barrels forward for a first down at the 29.
First and 10 is such a big part of Wisconsin either having success or not, and they have done a good job of mixing up their looks tonight on their first downs. They've had 15 first down calls. 9 of them have been run, 6 have been passed. What doesn't show up in that stat is how many times they've run Peavy around on the jet sweep to kind of go along with that. So they're trying to keep Ohio State off balance. They need to stay on schedule on 2nd and 3rd.
Another first down throw. Hornibrook lobs it out, intercepted. Coming up to make the pick was Gareon Conley, who read the quarterback and closed in. And the Buckeyes back in business. First turnover for Wisconsin.
Well, he because he is a touch passer, he floats the ball here and he kind of times things up. This time he put it, see how he puts it up in the air? What I don't think he didn't expect was Conley sitting there in zone. I think he was expecting man-to-man, and Conley jumps the route, and I think he fooled the freshman quarterback as he gets hit right after he throws the ball by Michael Hill.
So Conley, with his second interception of the season, the leader of that secondary that calls itself BIA, Best in America. Perhaps haven't lived up to that yet tonight, but this big play sets up Barrett at the 38. Final 2 minutes of the third quarter. This crowd, which was once really raucous, now anxious. Samuel direct snap. Wilson takes a little flip, and all that window dressing gains a yard.
Not only does it gain just a yard, it almost was a loss of about 15 or 20 yards, or maybe a recovery. That ball almost goes over the head of Curtis Samuel. He did a good job just to be able to come up with a football, let alone get it to Dontre Wilson.
The guy you're snapping it to, in that case, isn't quite as tall as JT, and almost got away from number 4. You're right. Now Samuel lined up to the right of Barrett in the flat. He gets it. Tries to cut back and lowers his head. It'll be third down, and they'll need about 5.
Go back to that previous play. Look at that effort there. Just gets his right hand up. Gives you an idea of his athletic ability, hand-eye coordination. Now you get back to that last series. Is Urban Meyer thinking about 4-down territory? Does he call this third down play thinking about the possibility of being in a 4th and short?
Final minute of the quarter. Barrett drops back and delivers. High strike. First down. Still fighting is Brown down near the 10-yard line.
Watch this throw and watch how he puts it between 3 defenders of Wisconsin. You've got great coverage there. That ball has to be thrown. If it's late by even a half of a second, the ball is batted away, but he squeezed it in there for the first down.
Wisconsin trying to run some subs on. They're still very confused. There's still confusion in Ohio State. With 10 seconds in the quarter, snaps it, and Barrett moves in front. There was a lot of confusion. Should I come on? Should I stay off? Badgers weren't sure on defense. It's about to be a jump around time here. The great tradition at Madison, but the Badgers are clinging to 3 points.
The AT&T
and then you got to go get the pleasantries here in the club. There's a Wisconsin faithful.
Couple handshakes. Good to see you.
AT&T inside access. So here we go. Ohio State trying to take the lead. A 2nd and 6 play as we begin the final quarter of Madison. Dominated third quarter by the Scarlet and Gray. Barrett still got it, pulled it at the last minute, Kirk, as he does so often. But Sitchie kind of waves the finger and said, no, not that time.
Now, Sitchie did a nice job of taking him out, but one thing JT Barrett does with the zone read is he really does a good job on the ride. He keeps it in there, about as long as any quarterback I've seen. And the reason that's important is it gives him longer to make a decision on whether to keep it or give it. He made the right read, but Sitchy sniffed it out.
Enormous play now. Can the Badger defense hold Ohio State to a field goal attempt, which if good would tie the game? Or can the Buckeyes, who trailed all night, make their first lead?
Remember, they've had success with Noah Brown this year on fades.
But the time running out. They have to spend the time out here. They've tried to pick on him. They got an interference call on Shelton to eventually set up the touchdown last time. We'll see what they've got cooking after this timeout. Badgers get a running start. Sitchy came in, flushed out Barrett, but he breaks free and scores. J.T. Barrett runs for the touchdown, and Ohio State has its first lead as he dodged a sack.
Well, they brought pressure from Sitchy and Watt, and when they weren't able to pick up J.T. Barrett, there's nobody left on the other side because you could see the corners locked up with Noah Brown. Nobody left. And a big touchdown there by J.T. Barrett.
So Ohio State marches 38 yards after the interception from Gary and Conley. Virtually the entire second half has been played in Wisconsin territory. And here's the pick by Conley. First turnover by Wisconsin, which set up Ohio State in good shape. Took him 6 plays to move 38 yards and 2:39, and JT takes it home. Progressive pylon cam giving you a good look. Wisconsin has been smothered on offense in the second half. Now they're suddenly down by 4. Badger hockey team beat number 6 BC 3-1. They'll play Sunday 4 Eastern on ESPNU. If it were hockey, Isaiah Prince, the right tackle of the Buckeyes, would have been sent to the sin bin. 2 minutes for holding. He absolutely grabbed Watt around the waist, a kind of a dance move on that touchdown, which helped spring Barrett.
He grabs him right there. Barrett gets around it because what did you see TJ Watt flop because of how hard he was held there?
Ogunbowale from the end zone. Good coverage. Stop at the 20. Samantha?
Chris, I wanted to observe Alex Hornibrook when he came off after the interception. He did the exact same thing he's done the entire game, which is something I've never seen before. He doesn't sit down or really interact with teammates. He warms up the entire time. And I'm not just talking about tossing the ball around a little bit. I'm talking 30 yards, throwing darts on the sideline the entire time. I talked to Joel Stave because he was down here observing. Asked him if he'd ever seen it. He said no. And it actually could end up being a problem when he goes to schools that don't really have much space in between the fans and the bench. So something interesting. I'm not really sure what the reason is.
Sam, I've never seen that myself. Usually you sit down, you're talking with the line, you're talking with running backs, coaches, going over adjustments. Interesting approach.
Move it up inside to try to get the quick hitter to the fullback. Badgers got to get the offensive rhythm going, Kirk, after that impressive showing. 313 in the first half, 11 yards in the third quarter.
Yeah, you always hear that tale of 2 halves, and so far it has been that. Ohio State has cranked up the intensity. As I said, the last time they had the ball, the defensive line has done a very good job, not just defending the run, but also rushing the quarterback.
Buckeyes showing some pressure on 2nd and 7. Hornibrook flips it off. It's a screen. They go back to Fumagalli, but he has been well covered after halftime. Malik Hooker came up to lower the boom. It'll be 3rd and long.
You're right, Chris. We talked to Hooker on Thursday and asked him, you're a great athlete, but do you like to hit people? He said, I kind of smiled and said, yeah. I said, would you rather hit or make an interception? He's like, I want to come up and hit people. The acceleration, how quickly he's able to close the ground there and take away that space. The offensive lineman with that speed just didn't have any chance to block him. Great instincts.
Hooker was a guy who was an elite basketball player. Didn't play high school football till his junior year. On 3rd down, Hornibrook for Peavy. makes the catch into Ohio State territory inside the 45. He beat Damon Arnett. What a clutch throw.
What a throw, right on the money. And the great thing for Wisconsin is he gets back and the ball's out. He had just enough time. He'll get a little pressure off to his right, but you can see that the backup corner, the nickelback Arnett, gets a step behind Peavy, who's got great downfield speed, but it's the accuracy and getting back to throwing in rhythm for Alex Hornibrook's the reason that works.
And getting back to what he did in his opening start of his career against Michigan State when he was 6 for 6 on third down, most of them third and long. He got 36 on 3rd and 9. Clement spins back. He could not escape Raekwon McMillan's tackle there.
That's the answer to Sam's question about him throwing on a sideline. It's for opportunities like that. That was an accurate throw. And that's really what Paul Chryst told us was they had a quarterback battle. When they broke camp and they got to LSU, they started Bart Houston, the senior, who's been a backup to Joel Stave. And eventually Hornibrook won the job. And Paul Chryst telling us really it was the consistency with his accuracy is the reason he's now the starting quarterback.
Yeah, came off the bench in the Georgia State game when this offense really struggled, and that's when Houston lost his job. Clement breaking free, gets a block, and muscles out inside the 25, and the Badgers threatening again.
Watch the left tackle here, Ramczyk. Watch him push down the defensive lineman Jones, and it opened that right up. And not only that, you've got big linemen pulling around. And the big tight end that time, Steffes, with nobody really to block. But that's the first time in the second half that we've seen that power running game of Clement and his offensive ability to run the football.
Yeah, you got 20 there. Clement now has rushed for 143 tonight. That time they bring Peavy in motion, but Clement busts up the middle as you suggested. They use him as a decoy and run up the middle.
Yeah, he catches the eyes of the linebackers. It slows them down, and when you bring him around like that, all it takes is just a little bit of hesitation to help those linemen get up to the linebackers, McMillan and also Worley. Good blocks and another good play call, using that as a decoy there to open that up.
The Badgers, who had led all night, fall behind by 4, but threatening to reclaim the lead now inside the red zone. On 2nd and 2, Clement and not escape. Lost a yard as Sam Hubbard strung it out.
That's a play that affected them. They were not setting the edge. This time Sam Hubbard does set the edge. Watch him fight to get outside there, dealing with a block from Maxwell, but does not give up on the play. Keeps his outside shoulder and hand free to be able to get out there and make that play.
Now Clement is going to come off on this 3rd down play.
3rd and 3.
Buckeyes make some substitutions. Badgers need 3 yards. He was shaken up at the end of that run. Ogunbowale spelling him. They snap it at 2. Quarterback flips it off inside, and they convert the 3rd down, little shovel pass to Fumagalli.
Again, this is a well-designed play, and they've not called it all night. Fumagalli just following the right guard, Benshaw around.
I like that too. It's a low-risk play, right? If it's incomplete.
Yeah, absolutely. It's an incomplete pass if it doesn't work out. Little shovel pass. Tyquan Lewis unable to get down there, and well-timed there by Paul Chryst. Hasn't shown it the whole game. 4th quarter, you pull it out, and Ohio State not quick enough to react on 3rd down.
Clement's still out of there. He may have gotten kneed in the back on that tackle. So it's Ogunbowale in the I formation. He's got it. He's not quite the physical runner that Clement is. Works hard for a couple of yards. Hill and Lewis combined on the stop.
Yeah, really known for his 3rd down ability to play on 3rd down. But you know, he is still a guy that I think can run the ball between the tackles. Now we get a look at the freshman. Bradrick Shaw comes in. He's kind of a slasher at 6'1", 211 pounds.
A taller back. He's out of Texas. He hasn't touched the ball tonight. And this is the first carry, and Bradrick Shaw, he shows some power and some burst and a nice gain down inside the 5. It'll be 3rd and very short.
Yeah, they think he could really be a star in the future. But the offensive line really, watch the center, Dieter. Does a nice job there. Also the left guard, That's actually left guard that time. Dieter is actually able to get up to the linebacker.
So Shawkirk does his job, 1 carry. Now Clement comes back in for the 3rd and 2. It's actually more like a yard and a little bit. 3 tight ends. Behind all that beef, it's the fullback plowing in for a touchdown. Austin Ramish, and the Badgers back on top. They love that play, the quick hitter to the fullback, don't they? And they execute it very well.
Yeah, power running teams love to be able to get that quick dive play in. And Ramish has, at 250 pounds, the leg drive if he gets challenged. That time he really didn't get challenged.
Endicott now tries to convert the PAT, make it a 3-point margin. And he does. So Wisconsin, after falling behind, Kirk goes 81 yards in 11 plays.
And this is Wisconsin football. You wanted to see this offensive line be able to kind of impose their will. Look at that. And that is a
one there. Very good one here. Badgers back on top. Inside of 8 minutes to play. And Barrett will go back to work. Sowski's kick once again is very deep. A Pacific Life game summary, a quarterback comparison. JT with a couple of rushing touchdowns, 11 of 22 passing. Hornibrook, after throwing that interception, impressive, converting that 3rd and long on the last touchdown drive.
Yeah, he has played again very, very well tonight. You can see at the bottom there, JT Barrett also has carried the football 18 times after a 26 carry game last week for a couple touchdowns tonight as well. And now you put the ball back in his hands, down 3 with under 8 minutes to go in the game on the road. See what he can do.
JT already was the career touchdown pass leader at Ohio State, and now has tied Braxton Miller's school record for touchdowns responsible for 88 total. And he'll no doubt add to that. It's Weber. Knocked down at the 30-yard line after a 5-yard gain.
And these outside linebackers, we're seeing one of them have to come off the field right now. Garrett Dooley. He is not 100% right now. Number 5 out there trying to play.
And Barrett throws near side to low, completion to a sliding McLaurin for a 1st down.
I know these receivers have been challenged by Urban Meyer to make plays like this. Go down and make a play on the football.
Kirk, they get Dooley out of there, was struggling with his right leg. Samuel cuts it back, follows a block and breaks free. Curtis Samuel into Wisconsin territory. It was Weber. His backfield made it through a big block, and there is a flag down now.
You see Weber helping him lead the way. 2-back look. Nice block by Paris Campbell. Weber takes care of Dakota Dixon, but there is a flag down.
Holding. Offense, number 25. 10-yard penalty.
They got Weber, Kirk.
Yeah, he kind of grabbed Dixon and threw him to the ground. I think that's what they had to have called. He made good contact at the beginning, but then at the end he just grabbed a hold of him and threw him down. Good contact. Then he grabs the jersey there. And there's the throwdown.
So number 25's penalty negates a 25-yard gain.
If you put those two in the backfield together, it's a little bit of a different look, and it opens up the playbook because there's a variety of different things you can do because of how skilled both of them are running and catching.
Badgers come after Barrett. Protection holds up for a moment, and now JT trying to scramble and is dropped down by Sitchy one more time. Scrappy number 48. Mohawk.
Yeah, he kind of kids about, he's a playmaker. He leads the team in tackles. He's all over the football. But you were kind of talking to him about what kind of athlete you are, because he's made some plays this year against the pass as well, and he kind of poor mouths himself and go, you know, not that great athlete. I have to do it in different ways. But I'll tell you, when he's between these white lines and the ball's in play, he has football speed.
Yeah, I don't care what he clocks on the 40.
I don't
He's
either.
fast when he's chasing guys.
When the ball's out there, he makes plays.
Barrett now with a lot of time. They rush only 3. JT's got all day. Taking a downfield shot for Dontre Wilson, who collects it. Finally, the Buckeyes go downtown and connect.
But it was a good job. Again, you've got a broken play. He just gave a little bit of a look and a hand wave to Dontre Wilson, who's one-on-one with a linebacker. I mean, Bond's trying to run with him and stay with a much quicker Dontre Wilson. This is a great throw and an accurate throw away from the defender over the outside shoulder to Dontre Wilson.
You get 43 yards, and Bond was the guy in because Dooley was out injured, so they go after a backup linebacker. Barrett again, plenty of time. Throws for the end zone again, looking for Dontre Wilson, overshot it. And Bond again was out there covering him. They had that mismatch.
That's what they asked these outside linebackers to do. Is a lot of times they're rushing the quarterback and blitzing. You see that a lot with T.J. Watt and Garrett Dooley, but they're also asked, because they have to stay balanced, is to drop in coverage. I mean, it's a tough position to play. It takes a unique, talented athlete with some size to be able to play that position. But that time, Barrett actually had Wilson earlier wide open. If he would have seen him, he was just looking off to his right.
KJ Hill, the receiver, motions into the backfield, but Barrett keeps it. And how about JT Barrett on this drive? It's been a struggle, Kirk. Passing game still hasn't clicked. He's been a physical, busy runner, but you expect a leader like this to take over when Ohio State needs a drive.
Absolutely. Game's on the line late in the ball game. He now has carried the football 20 times tonight for this Ohio State offense.
Need 5 here on 3rd down.
Trying to manufacture different ways to make this happen. Curtis Samuel checking back into the game for KJ Hill. And also we get Garrett Dooley back into the game.
Play clock is winding down. Both teams made substitutions. You got to hurry. Just get it away. Barrett keeps it. Cuts it back and is just brought down on the edge by Leo Musso. Made a huge tackle to prevent a first down, maybe a touchdown.
That's a heck of a play to be able to not only make the tackle, but Marcus Ball, the tight end, has him blocked. I mean, he is a big man trying to block him. He uses his speed to undercut the big tight end to be able to get away from him and then keep JT Barrett short of the first down.
Jim Leonard, the NFL grade, who was the scrappy ex-Badger coach at the DB, says Musso is their best tackler as a defensive back, and he made his coach look smart that time. So Durbin. Tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. Eastern, NFL Insiders, followed by Sunday NFL Countdown right after kickoff. And on Monday Night Football, Brandon Marshall and the Jets. Arizona Cardinals, Larry Fitzgerald and company. 6 o'clock with Countdown, and the kickoff at 8:15. Also on the Watch ESPN app. A Progressive Pylon Cam giving you an up-close look at Bucky Badger. It was Brutus before. Mr. Corso going with Ohio State on the road, as Wisconsin tries to duplicate what they did here in 2010. Upset a higher-ranked Ohio State team at home. Ogunbowale will take a knee. And Alex Hornibrook, who spent the entire Ohio State drive throwing, as Sam suggested, goes back to work.
Yeah, this last drive was a great mix. They were able to run the football. The offensive line does a heck of a job throughout this. He made a couple big throws. They mixed in a variety of tailbacks, trying to keep everybody fresh. And here's that right side of the offensive line with that fullback dive to Austin Ramish for the touchdown to give him the time, the lead. And the Buckeyes have gotten it even, and now this is what you train all season for. This is what it's all about for both these teams. This is what you want. Table is set. Now you got to go out and do it.
Badgers have shown mostly a methodical offense before tonight, but they have been plenty explosive. 3:57 to work with, plenty of time. Clement, stutter step. Well, he looks like a completely different running back tonight, doesn't he?
He looks like he did 2 years ago. He's just a lot more patient. He's fighting through some injuries tonight, too. And he, again, last year injured most of the year. But he is not at 100%. But the patience, most importantly, is back in his running style.
Missed a game and a half this year with an ankle injury and appears to be less than full speed right now.
The other thing is it's nice to be able to run where you have a little bit of room. I mean, he has not had a lot of room to run the last couple games.
Ogunbowale. A little cut and fights for a first down across the 35.
Known as a finesse guy, but there he's showing a little bit of power.
He's got to. He's got to pick up the slack if Clement is hobbled. Most guys who go from cornerback to running back, you don't figure they're going to be a real physical player.
Right.
Tight formation. They hand it to Ogunbowale, who gets to the crease, gives a stiff arm, cuts it back, and you see the elusiveness. That's more what he's known for. 8-yard gain.
Yeah, but again, that offensive line on a 1st and 10 run, controlling things up front. They do a nice job there on a, you're pulling a guard, you're pulling a tight end, kind of an H-back around. The right side needs to collapse the Ohio State defensive front, which is exactly what they did, giving those pullers enough room to come around. And then look at that 8 or 9 yard gain again on 1st and 10.
Inside of 2.5 to play in regulation. Clement is back in there, and he's got the first down into Ohio State territory, and they are moving toward Andrew Endicott range, the kicker who has been steady tonight as a fill-in for Gaglianone. He's been all you can ask for. Can he win it with one more field goal?
Clock becomes a factor now. Under 2 minutes. Ohio State with 2 timeouts. Badgers also with 2 timeouts. They're going to take their time now with as much success as they've had moving the ball here in these first 4 plays.
Clement again cuts it back. A flag comes in, and what would be, you figure, the holding zone, and that could be crucial.
And they got Brett Connors, I think, the center here for a hold.
Holding. Offense, number 64. 10-yard penalty. Repeat. First down.
There have been some holds tonight that have not been called in crucial plays. That one they did spot Connors.
And for Paul Chryst, that drive had momentum. It had everything that you wanted, because you had Ohio State on their heels, and you're moving closer and closer into field goal range. Now, minute 38. A critical error by the center on the holding call, and now not only do you lose ground, but you lose that momentum and that rhythm that they had established on that drive.
You have to believe that Hornibrook's going to have to put the ball up in this series. 1st and 20. Steps up, has time, delivers across the middle. Peavy knocked down at the 50. Nice tackle by Malik Hooker. Badgers get back 8 yards.
Yeah, again, Malik Hooker is one of the better safeties you're going to watch. Watch how quickly he reacts to this, and watch the closing speed after he sees where the route is. Look how quickly he comes in and collapses down on that. But big yards there for Wisconsin. Again, they're trying to get into field goal range here as that clock gets closer to a minute.
Winnie Britt down the sidelines, a risky throw, diving attempt, picked off again by Conley. His second interception tonight snuffs out the Wisconsin drive, and the young quarterback pays the price for that decision.
This is a clinic on how to play man-to-man in college football. Watch how he trusts his eyes. Right now, he turns around. At that point, he's almost a wide receiver. Tremendous athletic ability to go up and make the catch, but it was him reading the eyes of the receiver, Wheelwright, getting his own head turned around, and then running stride for stride with Wheelwright. This is just exceptional. They're going to take a close look to see if the ball touched the ground. It looked like his right elbow, right arm got underneath the ball.
This is going to stand as a pick. What an incredible, I know all that good stuff you tell me about technique, but the catch is just a crazy catch.
Yeah. And Ohio State's had a few of those this year. Hooker had one earlier too. Just a right arm, kind of like what we talked about with Dixon, who had the interception. See, the right arm under the ball prevents it from hitting the surface.
It did pop up, and that's what the crowd is oohing about when they showed the replay on the screen here. So that holding penalty that pushed him back, made it 1st and 20, kind of threw him off schedule, Kirk, as you suggested. It ended up being more than a momentum killer, ended up being crucial if this interception stands. Another look. Conley collects it in the right hand, grabs it, and now does he control it? Again, if he could have popped up when his arm hit the ground. They may not have enough to turn this over.
No.
And that could be the play that sends us to overtime. Again, still Stephen Beckman looking at it. Dave Kataya, how did you see this if you were in his position?
Well, I saw it the same way you guys did. I don't think there's enough to overturn it. The left arm is under. Okay, the ball might hit the ground, but there's not enough there to change the call from what I've seen, in my opinion. We'll see.
If the interception is overturned, it would be 3rd and 12 for Wisconsin at midfield.
And if it is an interception, the ball's on the 20-yard line.
After further review, in the process of the player going to the ground to make the catch, the ball hit the ground, he lost control of it, therefore it was an incomplete pass. It'll be 3rd down and 12 yards to go at the 50-yard line.
All right, so Beckman seeing it differently than you did, Dave, and it will be Wisconsin ball back at midfield, a 3rd and 12.
So it puts Hornibrook still in a position to be able to get points on the board. But now it's not just about Hornibrook, Chris. It's about the offensive line giving him a chance. And, you know, Paul Chryst understands that. He knows that Ohio State's going to come after him. You wonder if they might try to roll him away, kind of move that launch point a little bit to give him a little bit more time to get away from that pressure. See Nick Bosa coming in, all their pass rushers coming into the game. Jalen Holmes, Sam Hubbard, Tyquan Lewis all into the lineup.
They don't call it, but it is kind of like a cheetah package, isn't it? There's a whole bunch of defensive ends in there.
Ohio State looks like they're in man-to-man. Dropped out.
Winnie Britt rolling away from the pressure and now flips it short, but behind Ogunbowale. It was Jalen Holmes in hot pursuit, and now it's 4th down.
Ohio State showed man-to-man and then dropped out of it at the snap and played zone. They felt pretty confident that they could give this young quarterback a lot of different looks, especially in that 3rd down package. Show him one thing before the snap, drop to the other. That time just great coverage downfield.
Osowski into punt. Dontre Wilson back. It's been an adventure tonight for him. You'd think he would just make the safe play, make the fair catch. It was a man right in his face, and he does collect it at the 13-yard line. 41 seconds to play. Cassidy Hubbard along after the game with a Ford wrap-up show. I think Urban Meyer and his play callers, Ed Warner, sit back, content to just play this conservative and look for overtime.
You've got 2 timeouts. I think you call the first play and you see how successful or if it's a struggle. And then I think that dictates maybe your attitude on the rest of the drive. Ohio State is capable of moving the ball down the field pretty quickly with J.T. Barrett. But tonight, obviously, it's been a challenge against this group of linebackers and against this entire defense. They've done a very, very good job of containing the big play from Ohio State.
They're going to have to move the ball 50, 55 yards to get in field goal range for Tyler Durbin. As you said, 2 timeouts. That may answer some questions here as I hand the ball off to Weber, who was hammered after a short gain by Sheehy.
And that kind of tells you, that tells you where Ohio State. He's saying, we got it to overtime, and we're going to play some extra football tonight.
You know, Clemson on their home field needed overtime to survive. That was number 3. Number 2 on the road tonight. If they are to stay undefeated, we'll have to do it in overtime. We thought it'd be fun tonight, and it has been. Back and forth. Buckeyes dominate in the second half, but the Badgers put together that 1 touchdown drive. The end of regulation in Madtown. Back for overtime after this message and a word from your local ABC station. Bryant batted down a pass to secure it. I'll toss the coin here, and no doubt whoever wins the coin toss will elect to go on defense first.
Okay, gentlemen, this is an extra period. Each team gets 1 timeout per overtime period. They do not carry over. We're going to do a coin toss right now. This will be the only coin toss we do. If you win the toss, you have the option of going on offense first, defense first, or selecting the side of the field on which you would like to play. Ohio State, you are the visitor. Please give me your call. Tails. Tails is called. It is heads. Wisconsin, you've won the toss. Defense. Wisconsin wins the toss and elects to go on defense. Which end would you like to play at?
Yeah,
okay.
JT says we're going to point away from the student section. You go down and play that end, but Buckeye offense will get the ball first.
Yeah, we'll get away from the bleacher creatures. We'll try to head down to the other, end.
He's a veteran. You expect him to make the right decision there, but we'll see if this Badger defense can make a stand here. Ohio State has been very productive after halftime.
Also something to keep in mind, both these field goal kickers have been great tonight, both sides. 3 for 3 for both of them. And so if you're unable to come up with a touchdown, you'd like to think that would be able to continue for both these kickers.
Although those goalposts can look a little bit narrower in overtime, as much at stake as there is tonight. Paul Chryst had Rafael Gaglianone when he kicked that clutch field goal to beat LSU in Lambeau, bombed it out from long distance, and then he injured his back, had surgery, and this guy right here, Andrew Endicott, who again did not attempt a field goal in his high school career. He's a senior who had more tackles than field goals made in his career, covering kickoffs. Buckeyes on offense from the 25.
If you wouldn't have told me that tonight, I'd never know. He has been money.
Wilson motions in. They pitch it back to Samuel on a reverse. Slips a tackle. And the Brooklyn native muscles down inside the 15.
Heck of a block there in front of him to be able to give him some room to run there. McLaurin, the sophomore out of Indianapolis, gave him that first down. It looked like he might be short, but he pushed that defensive back almost into the sideline.
Whistle before this first down play.
Right tackle Prince, who's had a rough night. Pass protection moved.
False start. Offense, number 59. 5-yard penalty remains. First down.
Two of the third penalties tonight for Ohio State that they've been flagged for.
You know, Prince is looking out there, and he's seen a lot of number 42. And he can do that to tackles. It's not just that Prince is struggling. He's struggling against some really talented pass rushers and guys with a lot of quick twitch. And T.J. Watt and Garrett Dooley.
So first and 15. Barrett from the pocket, over the middle, complete. And breaking free is James Clark, who gets involved, the junior from Florida, down inside the 10.
Yeah, good patience there. He felt the blitz. T.J. Watt and also Jack Sitchie came on the right. They were picked up. He was looking downfield into the end zone, but ended up coming down and kind of checked that down. Good decision to be patient there by Barrett.
Barrett keeps it. Tries to get outside. Flag comes in as the quarterback is dropped at the 5. It'll be first and goal. Watt stopped him, but let's check the marker.
We've got a hold by Jamarco Jones, a left tackle from Ohio State.
Holding. Offense, number 74. 10-yard penalty. Repeat second down.
They had 2 penalties all night, Kirk, and now 2 in this series in overtime.
Out there, Alex James, who's trying to chase J.T. Barrett down, and one of the reasons Barrett was able to get around him is Jones. Now the tackle on the other side, and we've been talking a lot about Prince. This time it's Jones with the hold.
Buckeyes making it tough on themselves in this series. Back to 2nd and 13 now.
T.J. Watt trying to get his headgear adjusted.
Barrett flips it to Samuel. The Badgers close him down. Samuel still has the speed to make the corner and get back down inside the 10. It'll be 3rd down and about 2.
His acceleration to the corner, and then you think he might just go out of bounds, but then he turns his shoulders, kind of squares up, and picks up another 6 yards.
Meyer out on the field in this 3rd and 2.
Bringing Mike Weber into the game.
What do you think, Kirk? If he gets out there, does he dare go for it?
Probably a zone read of some kind where you give Weber or Barrett a chance to run the football depending on the read.
Got to hurry. Play clock at 2. Barrett keeps it, fires, end zone. Brown, touchdown. Noah Brown stretched out and makes a catch and a dart from the quarterback to give Ohio State the lead.
They gave the action, the zone read action, which kind of froze the defense. And then he was one-on-one on the outside. There's the zone read look. Now it's just one-on-one. He recognizes the back shoulder fade is there. The defender, Tyndall, never really even saw the football. So instead of throwing it downfield, great timing. Great job by both the receiver and the quarterback. J.T. Barrett going to his guy, Noah Brown.
The important conversion now. Durbin knocks it through, and Tyndall has played a pretty good game, but he's the guy that got beat by Amara Darboh from Michigan for the game-winning touchdown the last game.
Yeah, and look at the position where he puts this football. That is something you work on, and in fact, when you call the play in the huddle, depending on where the defender is in relation to the receiver, dictates where the throw is. So Brown doesn't really know where he's going to throw the ball. He hopes that Barrett sees the same thing he sees, and that's why you practice hours and hours and hours with quarterbacks and receivers with that timing.
First touchdown pass tonight for JT to go with the 2 running touchdowns. That gives him sole possession of the all-time Ohio State record for touchdowns responsible for. They overcome a false start and a holding penalty in that series.
And now, as you said earlier, now the ball kind of goes back into the hands of Alex Hornibrook and this Wisconsin offense. It's had a pretty good night.
Pretty good night, but they have had their issues down in the red zone. Must score to force double overtime. Clement, first down carry, hit immediately. No gain as Webb joined the defensive front that time.
When you see a play blown up like that, it's all about the defensive line. The linebackers may end up getting involved in making the tackles, and that time you saw Jerome Baker, but it was really Michael Hill, 77, and Draymond Jones, the freshman out of Cleveland, that impacted that play because of the initial surge that they got at the line of scrimmage.
Hornibrook straight back. Flushed. Fires far side. High ball caught. As Wheelwright, the Columbus native, sets up the Badgers' first and goal.
This is a big time throw from a freshman. Watch this. He gets hit by Sam Hubbard almost as he's releasing this. Throws it to a spot. And there's Wheelwright, as you said, out of Columbus. The toe tap to get them both down. Heck of a catch and a big time throw by Hornibrook.
You're right there. He got cut in half by that hit. The young guy showing his toughness and his accuracy. It's Clement behind Ramish in the I formation. He's got it, but again, penetration and no gain. Chris Worley, the linebacker, cleaned it up.
Watch them close down on this. You'll see Landers come here. Worley coming around from the outside. Landers being able to get in there just affects the timing of it. The pulling guard unable to pick up his block, but great penetration there. I'll tell you, Robert Landers has a great future. A true freshman that wasn't necessarily highly touted, but he has had a great start to his young career.
Badgers have 3 plays to get 4 yards and force double OT. Clement goes in motion. Hornibrook pedaling, and has to just throw it out of the end zone. Third down coming up.
They tried to hide Fumagalli there on the play action. He was blocking. They were hoping that the linebackers would just assume that he was in to block, and then they released him late. But Raekwon McMillan, again the leader of the defense, picked him up, and the freshman just gave up on the play and had to throw it out of the back of the end zone.
Clement dragged down for no gain. That was Baker sprinting out to drop the running back. It is 4th down. Badgers down to 1 play.
All comes down to this. Heck of a play there by Jerome Baker with his speed to be able to chase down Clement. And now you're Paul Chryst, one of the best play callers in the sport. A lot of things that worked. Now you wonder, how does he give his young quarterback a chance here to execute and throw the football? Ohio State will be coming after him. Urban Meyer's going to call a timeout.
So now you got Paul Chryst trying to come up with a play that'll work. You've got the Ohio State defensive brain trust, Luke Fickell, Greg Schiano, trying to put their puzzle pieces in place. This Ohio State team then trailed throughout much of this night. A lot of youth in that group right there. A lot of inexperience, battling back and trying to secure a win with one more defensive play.
I think what Luke Fickell and his group are trying to figure out is, do you play man-to-man or do you play zone? You play man-to-man and you're at the risk of maybe some rub routes or some picks down in this area. If you play zone, you're at the risk of Fumagalli and others finding a hole in that zone. So they're trying to kind of figure out what they think will give them the best chance. One thing, you know, they're going to bring some pressure after Hornibrook.
And Paul Chryst, you call him one of the best play callers in college football. He's got the right play called, and then his young quarterback, who's played so well tonight, can execute it. Ohio State a stop away from their 20th consecutive win in true road games.
We're playing man-to-man.
Ball game on the line. Hornibrook knocked down. Ohio State makes a defensive stand and survives in Madtown in overtime. Nick Bosa and Tyquan Lewis got in the quarterback's face. And Barrett with a touchdown pass in overtime to Brown shows his mettle. And it denies the Badgers an upset. Street fight, that's what Urban expected. He got it.
That's exactly right. How about the pressure? We just talked about coming after Hornibrook, but it was really, Chris, it was a combination of the coverage downfield and the pressure. There's nowhere for him to go with this football. He's trying to get Peavy, who you'll see coming into your screen, But watch when the pressure gets to him. And look right now, there's nobody open. You'll see Peavy trying to work in his inside here. There's just nobody open. It was great coverage downfield. Nobody open. He's forced to just eat the ball. And Ohio State gets to him there on the last play of the game with Jalen Holmes.
This Ohio State defense that came in so dominant but was reeling a bit in the first half played a much stronger second half in an overtime. They secured the victory. Let's go to Samantha with Urban Meyer and JT Barrett.
Yeah, Chris, all smiles and hugs down here. Coach, at halftime, no smiles then. So what was the difference between your team in the first half and late in this game?
First of all, this is great for our conference. What an environment. A lot of respect for our opponent. That was a ball game. Halftime, we didn't, there wasn't a lot of yelling, and we just didn't play great. But a lot of people don't play great in the stadium on the road, and they hung in there, and it's a young team that's getting older. They're maturing.
What is it about this place that makes it so difficult? You've played in a lot of tough road environments.
Now. They're good players, and that's when you start talking about places without good players. They have very good players. They play very hard, well coached. They beat LSU. They beat Michigan State. Very good team. We can get out of here and win and go home.
Last thing for you about this guy, the development through. I've seen that. What can you say about his development through this game when things weren't clicking early?
Yeah, but he's a soldier. He's a warrior, and he's a guy that fights through adversity. And I knew at some point he was going to go win the game for us like he's done many times.
A lot of confidence from your head coach.